You really missed my last video on Shameless, and now you're here to figure out what happened in the first 3 seasons. Fine, let me break it down for you one more time. For those of you who don't need a recap of a recap, skip to this timestamp. Season 1 introduced us to the Gallagher family and each of the siblings' personalities, struggles, relationships, pastimes, etc. There's Fiona, the oldest daughter, and the glue that holds the family together with her strong work ethic and dedication to raising her siblings in the absence of her mother. A new guy she met at a bar named Steve attempts to make her life easier by helping out with the kids. There's Lip, the overconfident high school genius, who takes tests for his classmates in exchange for money. He also casually sleeps with his best friend Karen, who herself has slept with Lip's father, Frank. Then there's Ian, the closeted gay sibling who works at the convenience store and finds himself in a love triangle where his options float between a married adult man, who is also his boss by the way, and a literal neo-Nazi in the closet. There's also Debbie, a kind-hearted and quick-witted 11-year-old who figures out Fiona's boyfriend is a big fat liar before anyone else in the family can. There's Carl, the brain-rotted future sociopath of the family who constantly tortures animals and melts his action figures in the microwave. Last to the Gallagher siblings, we have Liam, the mixed toddler of the family, who literally does not have a major speaking role until he's like 10 years old, so I won't be mentioning him that much in this video. And finally we have Frank. Frank follows absolutely no moral code. Frank is a man that steals from his family, cheats the system, and eventually R-words a literal child by accident, all while scamming his way into a poor woman's house because his family hates him. Season 2 sees a pretty straightforward continuation of the story that Season 1 laid out for all of its characters. Fiona starts a new job and tries to prevent her ex-boyfriend Steve from coming back onto her. Lip tries his hardest to reconcile with his ex-girlfriend Karen, all the while attempting to not finish high school despite him being so smart. Ian attempts to get into West Point but fails because of his brother Lip. Debbie runs a daycare all summer, and Carl, well, to quote Frank, I don't know that much about Carl. Speaking of the man himself, Frank scams his way into a dying woman's house, is forced to leave when she passes away, and reunites with his jailbird mother, Peggy, who, on her deathbed, leaves him none of her money. By the end of Season 2, the kids' mother, Monica, returns to them and makes a big attempt to become a part of their lives again, which ends with her in psychiatric care. Season 3 sees Fiona finally welcome Jimmy back into her life. The season also showcases Fiona's battles with the court as she tries to become legal guardian of her siblings after a targeted DCFS call from Frank. Lip starts seeing Mandy Milkovich and retakes his senior year after spending a good portion of last season on an education strike. Ian finally ends things with his in and out of jail boyfriend named Mickey and uses a fake ID to get into the military. Debbie helps the Gallaghers keep their house by accusing her uncle of sexual assault and is celebrated for doing so. Carl, again, doesn't do that much this season besides attend a cancer camp despite not having cancer. And Frank, well, he wakes up in Mexico after a 6-month bender, returns home, tries to live with Sheila again, who is now seeing Jody and raising Karen's baby, eventually moving in with a fellow AA member named Christopher before becoming a gay rights spokesperson, all the while continuing his heterosexual lifestyle. Oh, and he drinks and drinks and drinks and drinks. And by the end of Season 3, he's rushed to the hospital where he is informed by doctors that he is in trouble. Begging from his oldest daughter Fiona isn't even enough to convince him to stop doing so. Carl, Frank's second youngest, seems to be the only child left who still cares for him. At the end of the season, he shaves Frank's head much like Frank did to him episodes prior. Hours later, Frank wakes up and wanders into the alley behind the hospital. And that is what you missed on Shameless. Finally, the day has come where we dive into what I genuinely consider to be the best era of this show. If you missed my first video on the series, please go watch that first and then come back to this one. Or, if you want, you can just stay here. Part 1 of this series focused on the first 3 seasons of Shameless, and this video will cover the middle 4 seasons of Shameless, so that being 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I've got my work cut out for me. If you weren't aware, I've spent literally the last 6 months completely immersed in the world of Shameless. I like to think of myself as a bit of an expert on this subject, so without further ado, I'm not going to waste your time. Let's get into Shameless Season 4. The fourth season opens with a montage of Fiona and Debbie sharing a mirror while getting dressed. We also learn that Carl has been sleeping in Ian's bed since he is away at the military. There's a noticeable difference in Carl and Debbie's personalities since they have started puberty in this season. Debbie is portrayed as a bratty, like boy crazy middle schooler now, and we'll see where that takes her by the end of this season. And Carl is less of a psychopath and more of an ornery, depressed teenager now, even though he's like 11. The thing that is most confusing about this season is its timeline. Despite these changes in Debbie and Carl's characters, the season seemingly only takes place weeks after the last one ended because of Carol's pregnancy and Ian being in the army and Lip going to college. When I first watched the season, I had hypothesized that it took place anywhere from October to December of 2013, placing it a whole year after season 3 ended. We know, thanks to a line from the season 3 finale, that the episode takes place around Christmas time of 2012.
What, you got ROTC on the last day before Christmas break?
Yeah, they're having some sort of winter ceremony.
This means that Ian leaves for the military halfway through his senior year during Christmas break. We also learn that after spending an entire summer and most of the fall that year trying to get pregnant for Kevin and Veronica, Carol finally tests positive in episode 10, which takes place in November. But we learn that she had actually been pregnant that whole time that they had been trying, placing day 1 of her pregnancy in late July, early August, meaning she'd eventually have her baby in the earliest months of 2013. So I'm just going to go ahead and assume that this season does take place in the first 3 months of 2013, right after the last one left off. This is truly the first season where the timeline starts to go downhill and just flat out lose all of its credibility. I would say it starts to make a little bit more sense around seasons 7 and 8, but for the next 3.5-ish seasons, the timeline just doesn't make any sense. So please bear with me. Suspend your disbelief a little bit when I say something timeline related, because that's not how it's presented to us actually. Another note, we learn from Carl here in this episode that Lip is in college at this point. I initially thought Lip was attending MIT because in the finale of season 3, it stated that he did get into MIT with the help of Mandy. However, I now think that he's going to school in Chicago because he will visit home quite often. We also learn that Debbie has been hanging out with Holly from season 2, who has been recast this season because Dev Cameron was busy filming Liv and Maddie at the time. Sheila stops by the Gallagher's house because she has a need to stay busy while her daughter, boyfriend slash son-in-law, and grandson are away in Arizona.
Thanks, Sheila. That smells great.
Why is she here again?
I don't care. Our laundry's clean.
We get another one-off line here from Debbie stating that it's been almost a week since they heard from Ian, which again confirms the fact that this season takes place right after the last one left off. A little bit later on, Fiona stops by Kevin and Veronica's to borrow a jersey from Kevin so that she can wear one while she's at the Bears game with her new boyfriend Mike. Veronica speculates that Fiona isn't entirely over Steve, and that's why she isn't all that enthusiastic about Mike yet. I mean, yeah, it's literally been less than a month since he left, so... Elsewhere, Frank is found by Tony the cop in an abandoned house, passed out. He brings Frank home to the Gallaghers, who haven't seen him in weeks. Carl is the only one home, so he takes him upstairs and, with the help of Sheila, cleans him off.
Can I help you with something? Oh, my.
Scoop under. Oh, Frank, you're filthy. You're filthy.
And it appears that he hasn't actually showered in weeks. We catch up with Lip, who's living on campus at the college that he attends. He enters his dorm room, and his roommate, Ron's stuck-up girlfriend, Amanda, flees the scene once he arrives. Lip later works as a busboy at the college lunchroom.
You guys done with these? Yo, you done with these plates?
With this being Lip's first real job, he's actually had a lot of growing up to do in the last 3 weeks that we just weren't shown, which is why I think half the writers thought the season took place a whole year after last season, and the other half thought it only was a couple of weeks. The changes in Carl, Debbie, and even Lip here are way too drastic to be only 3 weeks apart from last season. Carol and Svetlana's pregnancies also have me believing the latter because there's no way that they are still only a few months pregnant if it's been an entire year. Another thing I'd like to mention here is that the production history for the show is exactly why the timeline is making no sense this season. Season 1 was filmed during late 2010 and early 2011, which is also when the season takes place. Season 2 was filmed in the summer and early fall of 2011, which is also when that season takes place, which allows for the characters to age at the same rate as the actors. Season 3 was filmed in summer and early fall 2012, which is also roughly when the season takes place. Season 4, by comparison, was filmed in late 2013, leaving a 12-month gap in production compared to the usual 6-month gap. This gap in production plus the lack of gap in the story is what contributes to the confusion over when this season takes place. I think if they had written this season as a spring season, we would have solved every single issue I just brought up. If I'm not mistaken, the production started on this season in October 2013, which explains why it's snowy throughout the entire season. But if the season begins in January, timeline-wise, and has to quickly wrap up before spring starts in March, it leaves half the storylines involving Carl, Debbie, and Lip to feel so rushed as a result, because why is Lip already in college, like in the middle of January when he just graduated in December? That just doesn't make any sense to me. Why are Carl and Debbie so different than they were in season 3 if it's only been like 3 weeks? I think they could have fixed this entire timeline issue if they had just written it as if it was a spring season and began production a little earlier in the year, maybe early summer, and then they would have been able to pass that off as spring. But no, they waited all the way until October to start production again, which just completely ruined the timeline. Another thing they could have done is just skip forward to the next winter and change the story completely so that the cast didn't look completely older than they should be. Like Debbie literally looks like she could be 14, 15, and she's 12, 13 in this season. Anyway, Mike arrives at the Gallagher's house to pick Fiona up for the Bears game. Later on at the game, Fiona gets to know Mike's seemingly normal family. This season is what I like to call the beginning of Fiona's like moving up in the world era. She started her office job last season, and while that was definitely a start to something, I don't think her boss bitch vibe really takes a hold until she gets like away from Jimmy Steve and starts dating this really normal functioning human being named Mike. Now don't get me wrong, she has a lot of ups and downs here in this season, particularly downs. This is kind of like quite a difficult season for Fiona, but she picks it up again in later seasons and then truly just goes up for quite a long time. So yeah, I would pinpoint the start of her boss bitch era here in season 4 once she's moved on from Jimmy Steve completely. After returning home, Fiona finds out that Frank is back and demands Carl take care of him if he's going to stay there with them.
No, fuck no.
Tony brought him back. He's in sleep the whole time. I tried to wake him, but he's out cold.
Believe me, he's not sleeping.
Great. Now this? Needles?
He's really sick.
Oh, he's sick, all right.
I don't get a vote?
Not really, no.
I can take care of him.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Fine, he's your puppy. He makes a mess on the rug, you're cleaning it up.
Meanwhile, Debbie goes to the arcade with Holly and Ellie, her 2 friends, and flirts with a man who is most definitely an adult. The man's name is Maddie, and this creep can most definitely tell that she is underage, but it's presented to us as him not knowing that she's a teenager, which, again, is quite problematic. The next day, Frank and Carl wake up. Carl goes to the store and buys cooking spray and a funnel for Frank so that he can ingest alcohol rectally. Foul. Oh yeah, Frank also reunites with Sheila in this scene.
Hello. How you doing?
Good. You?
Good.
Meanwhile, Veronica wakes up really sick and bloated, so she takes a pregnancy test, and lo and behold, Miss Mother is pregnant. At the doctor, Veronica confirms the fact that she's pregnant, and again, the timeline for this makes absolutely no sense because, spoiler alert, she does end up giving birth in this season. She looks like she's freshly pregnant here in this episode, but by the end of the season, when she has the kid, it's still winter. That means that day 1 of her pregnancy would have been close to Carol's day 1 of pregnancy, which was all the way back in August, and she didn't show signs of being pregnant until here in January. I don't think the writers planned for her to be pregnant until they started writing this season anyway. So at the bar, Mickey asks Kevin where Ian is at, since it's been weeks since he's heard from him, and this marks the second time in this episode that Mickey has pondered over where his boyfriend is, his secret boyfriend. Also in this scene, Kevin gets a call and finds out that the owner of the bar, Stan, is very sick, and Kevin should go and check on him, or like go and see him. A little bit later on, Kevin arrives at the hospital and finds out that Stan is not only sick, he is dead. Meanwhile, back at college, Lip struggles with the reality that he is not the world's smartest guy anymore when his paper gets a D. The TA tells him to work harder because he's not some big shot here in this college full of other smart people anymore. You know, like he's at the bottom of the barrel as a freshman. After her day at school, Debbie hangs out with that older guy, Maddie, yet again. Elsewhere, Veronica tells Fiona that she's pregnant, and Sheila comes downstairs to announce that she's tackling the kitchen tomorrow before leaving.
I'll be back tomorrow. I'm gonna tackle this whole kitchen area. And it may take a few days, but I will make this kitchen my bitch. Now, good night.
Also, Veronica watches the kids while Fiona is away at Mike's, and Debbie is dropped off by Maddie. In this scene, we also see Kevin return to the house and tell Veronica that Stan is dead, before Veronica tells Kevin that she's pregnant. At the end of the episode, Frank tries to drink alcohol, but he starts coughing up blood because his body just cannot handle it anymore. At the beginning of the second episode, Fiona takes her younger 3 siblings to the clinic for a checkup, seeing as this is the first time that they've actually had health insurance and are able to go to an actual clinic. Meanwhile, Frank attempts to use an eyedropper to get alcohol in his system.
For the love of Jesus.
He tells Carl that he needs a new liver because the one that he has is obviously failing him, before telling Carl to throw out all of his alcohol because he needs to go cold turkey if his body is going to survive much longer. Meanwhile, at the bar, Kevin and Stan's son named Alan are read Stan's will, where they find out that Kevin is the one that inherited the bar. When Alan protests this, Kevin agrees to pay Alan $500 a month instead, and then Alan does this. Just after inheriting the bar, Kevin is told by Kate, one of the employees, that they are not in good business right now. Fiona is sent on her first 3 sales calls by Mike because he wants her to be a new sales representative for certain clients. We also find out that Mike is really worried that Fiona isn't a reliable girlfriend because she missed out on a call with him, like she ignored his call, and so he's upset about that, and it becomes like a whole thing in this episode. Later on, Fiona successfully makes a sale to the Chicago Gliders before getting in her car and leaving. While driving back to work, she is cut off by a man on the freeway, so she flips him off before he stops his car, gets out, and beats up her windshield with a baseball bat. The company car, by the way. We catch back up with Lip, who attempts a tutoring session and flirts with his tutor, eventually inviting her to a sorority party. Later on at the party, his tutor tries to get Lip to help her get laid. Lip originally thought she was into him, however, he fails to connect with any of the girls at college. Meanwhile, Carl arrives at Veronica's to ask for drugs for Frank because his liver is failing and he can't have alcohol anymore, so he's turned to drugs. Carl then points out that Veronica is spotting, so she rushes herself down to the hospital to see what's going on. When Kevin arrives at the hospital, they find out that she's not only pregnant with 1, not 2, but 3 babies.
Spotting. Very common with implantation of multiple fetuses.
Peter who's?
Multiple? Yeah, take a look. 3. Congratulations.
3?
I take it from your reaction you weren't planning this.
Planning this? Who the fuck plans 3 babies?
You need to make an appointment as soon as possible with your OB.
OB, I need to make an appointment with the vet. I'm having a damn litter.
Baby, you know what this means? I got a magic dick. I don't know whether to freak out or thrust my almighty dick in everyone's face.
You need to be freaking out. I'm having triplets.
Triplets! Triplets! I got a magic penis!
Would you shut the fuck up?
Carl heads downstairs and acquires some blood typing tests, which he plans to use to help Frank get a new liver. Back at the house, he tests Frank's blood and finds out that he's O positive. Meanwhile, Debbie has dinner with Maddie. She checks his wallet and finds out that he's 20 years old before telling him that she is 13.
Where is sir?
I'm only 13.
What? So like years old? Okay, cool. I hope you like chicken.
And he just lets her stay there and finish dinner with him. At the end of the episode, Carl tells Fiona that she needs to donate a lobe of her liver to save Frank, and when she says that she's not going to do that, Frank drops this bomb.
If Fiona won't do it, I'll get my other daughter too.
Debbie's too young.
My oldest daughter, Samantha.
What?
At the beginning of the episode, Fiona leaves Mike's house for work. Meanwhile, Frank arrives at the RV park to stalk his daughter Sammy and her son Chucky. You can't really see them all that well, but there they are.
So that's my daughter. Wow, she's kind of beautiful.
Looks like you in skank form.
Frank then pays off some kids at the park to bully Sammy's child Chucky, so that Frank can then come in to play the hero in order to save Chucky and make good with Sammy. After this, Sammy invites Frank over to dinner with her. A little bit later on, Frank realizes how similar they are as people.
We asked for chocolate. I can't eat butterscotch.
You allergic?
No, just hate it.
Me too. That and avocados.
Avocados are the worst. And squirrels.
Tree rats.
Hideous.
Elsewhere, Lip is late for work. He is lectured by his boss, and later on, he shows up late for class because he just has horrible time management issues. Back at the house, Fiona arrives home, and Sheila is trying on her clothes for a picture for Roger Runningtree, the man she met on Christian Mingle.
You frightened me. I'm sorry. I thought you were going out to dinner tonight.
I am. What are you doing?
Well, I was just looking for a scarf or a sweater or something provocative because Roger Runningtree wants a full body shot. I'm so sorry. I should have asked first.
No. It's okay. Go on. Take whatever you want.
Fiona then attends a dinner at Mike's family's house. She meets Mike's older brother named Robbie, who recently was released from rehab. The way that this family talks about Robbie's addiction is much different than what Fiona's used to. It's like stepping into a whole new world for Fiona, where everyone is cordial and accepting of everyone else's problems while also having the resources to deal with those issues, which is something that Fiona's family never had the privilege of having. In the scene, Robbie asks to go to the family lake house, to which the father says,
"Might be too soon." What am I gonna steal, your old waiters? There's nothing up there to sell.
Robbie and Mike then begin arguing. This seemingly perfect family has just begun crumbling.
No one is out to hurt you, sweetheart.
No one's out to help me either.
Dad footing the $20,000 rehab bill wasn't helping up.
Fuck off, Mike.
Hey, come on.
Easy. I'm gonna pay him back, so don't you worry about it, okay?
Well, that's not the point, Robbie, and you know.
Fiona then sees that their family isn't actually all that different from her family.
Nice meeting you, Fiona.
Meanwhile, at the bar, Mickey tries to sleep with a redhead woman to try and get over Ian, and this does little to satiate him because he's just not into women like that. A little bit later on, Lip calls his family, and you can tell it's such an adjustment for him to be at college.
Hey, you okay?
Yeah, could be better. You know, it's
Different?
yeah, you too.
God, yes. Come on, I put on pencil skirts every morning, and I'm like, who are you? Yeah, the Gallagher's moving up the food chain.
Fiona hears partying in the background, so she tells him to go enjoy himself. But Lip decides to stay and study instead of going to the party amid his horrible grades. At work, Lip asks to take off early so that he can make it to one of his classes on time, and Lip's boss tells him he needs better time management. Lip does not want to hear this at the time because he just gave up his entire night the night before to studying, and now he's being told that he needs better time management skills than that. Elsewhere, Fiona heads to work, and Mike apologizes for Robbie's behavior the night before, eventually telling her that Robbie invited them to dinner later that day. Meanwhile, Frank attends Chucky's dodgeball game and tries to gather as much sympathy from Sammy as he can. Later that night, Sammy brings Frank home with her.
Frank, what's your blood type?
O positive. Why?
That's my blood type. I want to give you my liver. It's just a lobe, right? It's not the whole thing. I'm not gonna, like, die without it or anything.
But we barely know each other. Put it down.
And a gentleman, too. Frank, I think I'm smitten.
Oh, jeez.
Even Frank won't stoop that low. To be clear, Frank's motive here is just to get a liver. He literally does not care about anything else, and he has not even told her that he is her father. So she thinks that they have this connection because she's, I don't know, romantically interested in him, but he is only interested in her for her liver. Meanwhile, Sheila has her date with Roger Runningtree.
Just a second. Coming! Hi. Hi, you must be Roger. Come in.
You're even foxier in person.
Oh, that's so sweet. Gosh, they're beautiful.
I left my guitar in the Honda. I wasn't sure if you'd be interested in a little strum down.
Yes, I would. I would be very interested in a strum down.
Meanwhile, at a dinner of their own, Robbie abstains from drinking, whereas Fiona and Mike both drink quite a lot, especially Mike. On the way home, he sings in the back seat because he's so gone.
I'm proud of him. He kicks up a fury all week at the family farm, and settles down Friday afternoon to a delicious foamy beer and some lame TV. And that's enough for him.
Should be enough for anybody.
Not me. Well, life throws challenges at us to see what we're made of, right? Yeah, apparently, I'm made of bourbon and below.
Robbie says that he's an addict, and that's what he wants for his life. Once they get home, Mike goes straight to the bathroom, and Robbie and Fiona get to talking. Robbie then puts the moves on Fiona, and they start passionately making out before Mike comes drunkenly walking out of the bathroom, somehow just not even seeing them making out on the counter. Meanwhile, Debbie tries to sleep with Maddie, but he rightfully turns her down before wrongfully calling her beautiful at the ripe age of 13. The next morning, Fiona leaves Mike's house and takes the L home. Fiona calls Mike, and Robbie answers the phone.
Morning, sunshine.
Hey, I'm just about to head to the office. What should I tell people?
I'll bet you fucked my brother last night on the counter while I laid in a puddle of vomit.
Why do you have my phone?
It's on the counter. I saw you calling.
I'm not telling him. Ever. Okay? We're taking this to our graves. This did not happen.
Oh, yes, it did. And it's gonna happen again, addict.
The fourth episode opens with Fiona sitting on the train next to Robbie, who touches her in the middle of public, and she just doesn't stop him. The next day, she rants to Veronica about this, clearly regretting what she did. After Fiona hands lunch money to the younger kids, they completely treat her like shit, demanding more and more money, and when she tries to ask Debbie what's going on in her life, Debbie just flat out ignores her. At the hospital, Frank learns that it's going to take years for him to get a liver transplant surgery because the waiting list is so long, even if he's found a donor in Sammy. Frank tries to injure himself at Sheila's house in order to earn insurance money to pay for the surgery because he needs $150,000 to pay for it himself. After asking his lawyer about it, he learns that he won't get much money at all because he barely sprained it. He then returns home and asks Carl to break his leg for him, which he does. He just drugs Frank beforehand and dumps him on Sheila's porch. Meanwhile, at college, Lip realizes his clothes were taken out of the dryer early, so he runs to class for his midterm in sopping wet pants. His teacher refuses to let him in, and so Lip misses his midterms. Lip meets with the dean of the college, who tells him that he's a waste of his scholarship and that he needs to be doing better, and I just find it so funny that Lip is wearing this shirt during this scene. Couldn't have picked a better shirt for him to be wearing, honestly. Lip leaves the office and then starts destroying parked cars outside, and this is where the campus police chase him all the way down the street. Meanwhile, Mickey makes his wife and the other Russian hookers go on strike because they're not getting paid their fair wages. A little bit later on, he learns that Sasha, the pimp that was hiring all of his wife's hookers, has hired a completely new batch of them, which have replaced Svetlana and the others. Meanwhile, Fiona arrives at Robbie's house, and after an attempt to shut his advances down, she falls right into his traps yet again. This time, in the middle of them making out, Mike arrives at the apartment, causing Fiona to hide under the counter. Later on that night, Fiona confesses to Veronica that she does have feelings for Robbie. It's just a lot more complicated than that because she's also into Mike. A little bit later on, Lip returns to the south side and reunites with Mandy. Mandy tells him that she needs the morning after pill because she's not trying to get pregnant. Lip tells her that they'd be fine having a baby, even suggesting that he'd drop out of college to provide for the child. This is where Mandy hits Lip and then he proceeds to slut shame her. Later on, Lip returns to the alibi and shares a drink with Kevin before confessing to him that he's dropping out.
So you quit, then what?
I'll figure it out. What?
Grow a pair.
Excuse me?
You heard me. Tough it out, man.
It's like I said, it's not only up to me.
You're resourceful. You'll figure it out. Do you want to end up like me? Clawing for every penny, praying that you can figure out some way to support your family? Because that's what I'm going through. I got bills up to my ass. Let me tell you something. It fucking sucks. College is a racket, huh? Hell, man, you got him to give you 4 fucking years for free. Why don't you get your damn diploma, spit in their faces, and have a fucking future?
This mirrors a scene that they had in season 3 together, where Kevin basically flat out told him to get his ass to college. Elsewhere, Debbie sends Maddie fake nudes. Then he tells her to come over because they need to have a chat about their relationship. Once she goes to his house, basically he turns her down because of her age. This is yet another example of the show giving us an age gap relationship that was completely unwarranted, first of all, but also in said relationship, they paint the younger person as the one with the power.
Don't you want to?
Sure, yeah, someday.
Why not now?
She goes home and starts crying before Fiona comes in and tries to comfort her.
Let me let you in on a little secret. I don't know what the hell I'm doing either. Just wish I could skip the part where I don't know the right thing to do. Get to the part where I do.
This is the first time in the season where Debbie has truly let Fiona in a slight amount, because before she was quite bratty with her. After wheeling himself over to Sammy's house, Frank finds out that he and his daughter are not a match because her white blood cells attacked his. This completely soils his plan to take a lobe from her liver. Frank then lets it slip that she is in fact his daughter.
Thank you, God. Thank you for the cosmic fuck you. Even my own daughter isn't a match.
What? What did you say? Your daughter?
I didn't say that. Oh, fuck it. What's the use? Hate me now, hate me later. You all hate me eventually. And for what? What did I ever do to you?
You're my dad? I almost put you in my mouth.
I didn't ask you to do that. Gee.
Get out.
What are you yelling about? I'm the one not getting the liver.
Get out!
Jesus God almighty.
No!
Okay.
No!
I'm going.
All right.
A little bit later on, Frank heads to the alibi before being joined by Sammy, who apologizes for throwing him out. The next day, Lip shows up to class really early and begs his professor to let him take his midterm. At the beginning of the episode, Fiona meets Robbie at a motel and declines his offer to stay there with him.
You know how last time when I told you to stop texting me and it turned into sex? This isn't that. I don't know why it took me this long to start hating myself, but I got there. It's a shitty feeling. I'm not punishing you or blaming you. I just really need this to end.
A little bit later on at work, Mike invites Fiona over to a birthday dinner at his parents' house, which will also include Robbie. Later that night, at Fiona's birthday dinner, Robbie causes a scene and finally reveals that he's been sleeping with Fiona.
There's a lit dance floor and I guess a DJ or a live band, depending. We just sat at our table, got a... God damn it!
Go.
What did you say?
Mike then tells Fiona to leave. Up until this point, Fiona has been treated with such respect from this family and has gotten so much goodwill from them, and now she's being shunned. Not that it's not her fault though. She did have like 50 chances to turn this guy down, but she didn't. Earlier that day, Lip is found by military police, and he is informed by them that Ian is wanted for stealing a helicopter. Elsewhere, Frank's lawyer, Lou, tells him that he won't get a check for the broken leg for a year to 16 months. Frank returns home and walks in on Roger and Sheila's date, and this is where Roger suggests that they build a sweat lodge at Sheila's house to help Frank naturally heal. Meanwhile, Stan's son Alan demands the $1,000 check from Kevin, who doesn't actually have the money yet. Kevin asks Veronica to rent out the apartment upstairs to Mickey's Russian prostitutes as a second source of income for them to help pay off Alan. At Robbie's apartment, Fiona returns and slaps Robbie around for ruining this relationship for her. I mean, not only does this ruin her relationship, but it potentially costs her her job as well. The next day, it's Fiona's birthday. She calls Mike and asks if she needs to come by the office that day because she assumes that she's fired. The office throws her a birthday party, and it seems like nobody has really caught word yet that they are no longer an item. Fiona goes into his office and apologizes to Mike before he tells her that she is getting transferred to another department so that she doesn't have to work for him directly. Overall, a pretty decent outcome for her. We have a side plot in this episode where Debbie and Lip confront Jimmy's dad, Ned, who remembers Ned, to ask him where Ian is. According to Ned, Ian crashed with him a few few weeks ago and brought a few unsavory characters to the house, and since then, basically, he hasn't seen him, but he does know that he has been living with his mother, Monica. Interesting. Okay. While on the train, Debbie confides to Lip about her adult boyfriend that may or may not be her boyfriend at the moment. They then arrive at an abandoned house and find all of Ian's stuff. Before learning that he's working at a gay club, they go to the nightclub and find Ian.
You look great.
Thank you. You do too.
How long you been working here? A couple weeks. This place, it's awesome. It's super convenient. You guys want drinks? They're on the house. I'm good. Appletini. MPs came by looking for you. They want to arrest you for going AWOL, stealing government property. Top shelf. They say you stole my helicopter. That's hilarious.
He's definitely on something. While gathering supplies for the sweat lodge, Frank introduces Carl to his sister Sammy and nephew Chucky. Back at the Gallagher house, Fiona answers the door and Robbie brings Coke over for her to celebrate.
What the fuck are you doing here?
I thought we could celebrate together.
Or I could stab myself in the eye with a pencil.
By way of apologizing. Now it's a party.
Fresh out of rehab and you have Coke.
Oh, booze is the problem. I can do Coke, a little weed, but as far as booze goes, I'm clean.
You sound like Frank.
Who's Frank? Oh, you got a mirror?
Oh yeah, right here. Oh wait, it's a baseball bat.
She chases him out of the house with a baseball bat and he leaves the Coke there. Meanwhile, people in the neighborhood help build the sweat lodge, and after Frank spends like an hour in there, he passes out. Back at the Gallagher house, Kevin, Veronica, and Fiona have a Coke party. Just randomly for her birthday. Debbie and Lip then arrive, and Debbie goes into the kitchen and finds Liam legitimately passed out in the kitchen because he got into Fiona's Coke.
What's on his face? Oh my god, oh my god.
Step back.
Oh my god.
Step back. Step back.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Liam?
Oh my god. Oh my god. Call.
Liam, step back. Give him some room. Liam.
Oh my god.
Liam.
This sort of thing was predictable when Frank and Monica were really around with the kids, but it comes as a complete shock to everybody that it happened when Fiona was in charge. At the hospital, Fiona is in a complete panic.
Liam Gallagher?
Have a seat. Someone will be out with you in a minute.
What was that?
Who's Fiona?
That's me.
Put your hands behind your back. Fiona Gallagher, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you
what's
say
going on?
can and will be used against you in court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you.
You know, things were going so well for Fiona this season. She had a great job, a great boyfriend, and started to really live a more normal life with no stress. And here she goes and just fucks it all over for herself.
Do you understand your rights as I've read them to you?
Episode 6 opens with Fiona being processed and placed in a holding cell overnight. At the hospital, early in the morning, the doctors tell Lip that Liam had acute cocaine toxicity and has had to be strapped down because he's had some violent seizures throughout the night. Meanwhile, Fiona is transferred to Women's County. She is then stripped in a scene that I really did not need to see. Kev tries to make a case for Fiona, stating that they were watching the kids, it's just that accidents happen. The show's decision to sort of turn Lip against Fiona this season makes so much sense because Lip has just started getting better grades, and it sucks for him to now have to try and juggle that along with his family constantly messing things up for him. He's now being placed in the exact same position that Fiona has been in the last 3 seasons. Elsewhere at the hospital, Frank is informed by the doctors that he does not have very long after his latest stint in the sweat lodge. He is officially told that his diagnosis is cirrhosis of the liver, even though we kind of already knew that. The doctor tells Sammy to consider getting him into hospice. The next morning, Sheila greets the mailman and then makes breakfast for Roger and the kids. It's here where Roger tells her that he plans on taking the kids back to the reservation that day. Meanwhile, Fiona frantically calls Lip from jail, and he really doesn't give her much because he's still kind of upset about the whole situation.
Lip?
Yeah.
How is he?
Liam?
Yes, Liam, Jesus.
He's alive. He's in the pediatric intensive care unit.
But he's gonna be okay?
Yeah, he's strapped down because he was hurting himself. He's on a ton of drugs and an IV and could have permanent brain damage, but he's gonna live. Are you still there?
Yeah, I here.
Lip then hangs up the phone and learns that Liam could be ready to leave within a day or two, which is good news. Although the hospital is refusing to release Liam to Lip unless a guardian or a parent shows up, so he goes and tries to find Frank, who is kind of been MIA in the kids' lives this season. After touring a few different hospice centers, Frank wheels himself outside because he gets too freaked out to stay there. Back in jail, Fiona meets with a public defender before her arraignment.
He's gonna ask you how you plea, you say not guilty. Then he's gonna set a bail amount. Then he'll give us a preliminary hearing date. You post the bond and you get the hell out of here.
It was an accident. I had no idea that my brother was still there.
Fiona, right? That's a conversation for later. Right now, we have to get you in front of the judge. Gallagher, I'll see you inside.
She pleads not guilty and is given a $100,000 bail before getting carted back to the holding cell. Afterwards, the lawyer tells Veronica that they only need to put up 10% of the bond for it to be accepted.
County only requires 10% for the bond.
10 grand?
They accept collateral of equal value, a house, a car. I can try to get it reduced at her preliminary hearing. If the victim recovers, Liam recovers, that could influence the judge to lower her bail. Gotta go.
A little bit later on, Debbie spends the night at Maddie's house, disgusting, and she seemingly thinks that her and Maddie are still together, despite Maddie insisting that they should still be friends. Back with Fiona, she talks with her lawyer and refuses to provide a name of who gave her the coke. Even though it would reduce her sentence by quite a lot, Sheila then says goodbye to Roger and his kids, who leave for the reservation. Hours later, Lip finds out that he got a B+ on his recent essay, amid all this chaos surrounding Liam. The next morning, Fiona magically makes bail, and when she's released, she finds out that Mike is the one that put up the rest of the money.
Hi.
Hey, Carl called me.
My brother, Carl?
Said you didn't know any other rich people.
Probably doesn't.
Sheila makes breakfast for herself all alone in that house before she starts packing her bags and going to follow Roger on the reservation because she's tired of her life here in Chicago. At the end of the episode, the Gallaghers meet Debbie's boyfriend Matt, who drops her off to pick up Liam, and they also meet Sammy and Chucky because Frank has kind of largely been away from the rest of the Gallaghers this season.
Where were you last night?
Matt's. Who's Matt?
Oh, you're Matt? The Matt, how fucking old are you?
Who's this? Our new big sister and nephew.
Debbie, hi.
So yes, Liam is finally released to the Gallaghers thanks to Frank being present, and Fiona returns to an empty house. This episode is great in my opinion. The ramifications of last episode are truly felt in this one. It's easily the most drama that the show has offered us since Monica's return at the end of season 2. Season 4 by comparison is actually a much darker season than the first 3 seasons were. The depressing vibe is only furthered with the colors in the season being noticeably desaturated, and with the season being set in winter, which perfectly goes well with the depressing storylines, like Frank being on his deathbed, Fiona's life falling apart after poisoning Liam. The season's tone is part of what makes it my absolute favorite season of Shameless. This episode opens with Lip taking over as the leader of the household. Everyone is extra strict about drugs lately, with Liam being home in case there are any DCFS visits. Sammy defends Frank's right to smoke in the house because of his condition.
I don't think you guys understand.
Oh, understand?
We've lived with that narcissistic asshole our whole lives.
No, you're trying to play big sis.
You're lucky we don't bounce you to the curb.
Yeah.
So if we say no more weed...
Mean no more weed, okay?
Fine.
Fiona cuts her wristband off from her stint in jail before saying good morning to Liam. After she offers to watch Liam while Lip is at school, Lip tells her to sort through her shit.
Lip, here you are.
It was an accident.
I'm gonna put your coat on downstairs. Is that okay? Yeah? Yeah?
Sort your shit out.
Lip returns to school and has to bring Liam to class with him. However, his roommate's girlfriend, Amanda, offers to watch him. Back at the Gallagher house, Frank is not looking good at all. Sammy, in fact, actually asks him about some of his past memories, leading him to believe that she thinks he won't survive. She then tries to prove to him that she's not like his other kids when she offers him heroin. Fiona has her preliminary hearing where the judge orders the state and Fiona's lawyer come up with a plea bargain outside of court. Meanwhile, at the OBGYN, Veronica finds out that she basically lost one of her kids, like the other two basically absorbed the third triplet. At the apartment, Maddie breaks up with Debbie because she's just too young obviously, and he says that they can try again when she's 16. Elsewhere, Mickey reunites with Ian at the gay bar, where he tells Ian about his family's situation with Liam and how Frank is dying. Later that night, Mickey takes Ian home with him. Back at the Gallagher house, Lip lashes out at Fiona for wanting to take her trial further to prove her innocence.
Yeah, my lawyer's gonna try to get me probation if I plead guilty. Might have to serve a little time, though.
Yeah, how long?
90 days or less.
Suppose we'll manage.
Or I could go to trial.
Why would you want to do that?
Why wouldn't I do that?
Because you'll get convicted.
You don't know that.
Yes, I do.
I made a mistake.
You're guilty.
It was an accident.
You almost killed Liam.
You don't think I know that? You don't think I'm blaming myself enough already, so I need you to do it too?
So how long are you in prison if you lose?
5 years.
All right, so that makes me almost 25. Still at home, taking care of the kids.
I know I can win. I didn't do it on purpose.
Yeah, but you did it.
I turned my back for like 2 seconds. And now my life is ruined? How is that fair? I can't go back to jail.
Of course, this is all about you.
Yes, it's about me, okay? Because it's never about me, and I'm finally making it about me.
So what, I'm supposed to drop out of school while you do 5 years?
I'm not guilty!
Liam almost died! And that was you! All fucking you! Your coke, your boyfriend, your fucked up life! It's not mine!
Later on, they kick Sammy out after finding Frank with a needle in his arm. So Sammy, Chucky, and Frank head over to Sheila's house, which has again been abandoned by her since she's away at the reservation with Roger Runningtree and his kids. The next day, Fiona takes a probation plea agreement where she cannot leave Illinois for 3 years, vote, and must be under house arrest until notified.
Then how do you plead to possession and child endangerment?
I'm guilty.
A generally decent outcome for this crime, seeing as she doesn't have to serve any jail time. At the beginning of the episode, it has been a few weeks since the last one. Fiona deep cleans the house in an attempt to impress her PO, who is visiting later that day. The officer tells Fiona that it could be up to 2 weeks until she's allowed to look for work. At Mickey's house, Ian wakes up and is threatened by Svetlana, who tells him to leave. Ian returns home and reunites with Fiona.
What? No!
Give me a...
Oh my God! Oh my God, is this for real? Are you really back? You bastard, I missed you so much. You're a piece of shit. You had me so worried. Not one call?
I texted. Yeah, real detailed. Miss you guys having fun.
I didn't want you to work.
Well, I worried more, asshole. Where the hell were you?
The Army. I left. Stuff got nuts.
What stuff?
Oh, military trying to control me.
Well, isn't that what the military does?
Got sick of it, but hey, I met some amazing folks. Got all these great ideas. I'm a different person.
Ian finally is reunited with the rest of his siblings later that day, and as well as Mickey, who shows up looking for him. Ian agrees to stay with Mickey as long as Mickey agrees to do sexual favors for him on the regular, to which Mickey agrees. The next morning, Fiona tests out the range on her ankle monitor. In the Gallagher house, Mandy arrives to tell Mickey that Svetlana's water broke, and Mickey is less than thrilled about being a father, stating that he's not even going to go to the birth. Sammy and Frank plan to scam people out of their money by pretending to sell Sheila's house. Elsewhere, Fiona tears the house apart before Robbie shows up.
Mike told me. The coke, the kid, jail.
I didn't make it to the sidewalk without bells going off.
Could I be expecting a knock on my door?
What for?
It was my coke.
That's why you're here. To see if I ratted you out to the police.
And to check on
Fuck you.
Yes or no?
No, asshole. I should have. They would have let me off easier.
Yeah, why didn't you?
Because I hate myself for a number of reasons right now, and I'm not going to add being a snitch to the list.
Okay.
You ruined my life, you know that? Dropping that little bomb on Mike in front of your family.
I did you a favor, okay? The cup job sucks, and my brother's a boring yuppie asshole, all right?
Veronica comes over and Fiona gets drunk and burns the dinner.
You smell that?
Oh, shit. Oh, shit! Shit! Oh, fireball!
You just let it burn?
We got distracted. Oh.
You're shit-faced.
What is it, a felony for a Gallagher to drink?
Calm down, it's my fault. I put the vodka.
What, poured it down her throat?
Oh, you're the one who told me to relax. Somebody shut that thing up!
Fuck, burn the house down, okay? Burn the food, too. You know, I can always steal some more for my shitty work-study job, right?
I'm going through something here.
Yeah, it looks like you went through about 5 beverages in an hour, Fiona. Have another one. No, bang the boss's brother. Leave coke out on the table for the kids. Get arrested. Do whatever the fuck you need to do. I've got this. Hey, Carl, go upstairs, get your toothbrush and something to sleep in.
He has a suspension meeting tomorrow.
Oh, no worries, no worries. I'll get him to Sheila's in time, stay up all night studying. I mean, what the fuck? It's just an applied physics quiz.
While Lip yells at Fiona, Kevin shows up to the house to inform everybody that Carol's water has broke.
Hey, come on, Lip, please. You don't have to take them.
Yeah, you're right.
Come on, what about dinner?
Enjoy.
Shut up!
And a little bit later on, Amanda crawls into bed with Lip and does this. So back at the hospital, Carol finally gives birth and decides she wants to keep the baby. Kevin is a little bit more upset about this than Veronica is, because Veronica sees this as a positive, you know, hey, at least now we don't have to take care of your and my mom's baby. The next day, Fiona calls Lip from Liam's bed and basically asks him to throw her a bone. Later on, he returns home and lets Fiona take care of Liam for once. Also, Frank meets with Carl's principal and basically tells him that his son can bully whoever he wants to, because those kids that he bullies are going to go on to be doctors and lawyers and other important people. The episode opens with Fiona getting ready for her job interviews, as she's now allowed out of the house temporarily. At one of these interviews, she admits to being a felon and is unfortunately turned away by the interviewer. Back at college, Lip asks Amanda to watch Liam for her, to which she takes off her shirt and expects sex out of this, and then this is when his roommate walks in. Amanda then asks if Lip can pretend to be her boyfriend so that she can scare her parents. At Sheila's house, Sammy tries to make Frank comfortable. Meanwhile, in detention, Carl meets Bonnie. She drugs their teacher so that they can leave detention early and go run off together. The next day, Sheila returns to her house after a 3-episode absence to find out that all the furniture has been sold. She tells Frank and Sammy that Roger is on the run from the government, and that's what caused them to break up.
Kind of hard to get mad at you about selling all my furniture when you're like this, but I know what it's like to have your back against the wall. Roger Runningtree and I broke up. Wasn't meant to be. He's got anger issues. Plus, he's on the run from the federal government. Something like collecting false reparations. It turns out he has less Indian blood than I do. He's mostly Mexican. But the children, Frank, oh my gosh. And Roger and I, we were gonna get married and adopt them before he showed his true colors. Frank, they're alone in the world. Do you understand what I'm getting at? Oh, all I need is a marriage certificate. Frank, will you marry me? Lowenthal Bridal? Hi, I'm getting remarried. Oh, thank you. I'm over the moon about it. Yeah, and actually, I bought my wedding dress from you 22 years ago, and since then I've lost a considerable amount of weight. Anyway, I was wondering if you could take it in for me. How many sizes? Well, I would say a few. Can I call you back? I need to talk to you about something very serious.
I can explain the furniture and the broken window.
How do you look in lilac?
Huh?
Your dress. I want you to be my maid of honor.
Maid of honor?
Yes, Frank said yes.
What?
And well, your opinion is very important to me because I'm going to be your new mom.
Really?
Yeah.
I think Grandpa's breathing.
Oh my God. I got it. Okay.
A little bit later on, Sammy brings Kevin, Kermit, and Tommy to Frank since he can't leave for the alibi himself. Back at college, Amanda makes a very detailed schedule for Lip. This Amanda girl is really sweet, but also at the same time, like, very controlling of Lip. So far, it hasn't been, like, detrimental to their relationship. After class, Lip is chased by Kenyatta, who learned that he slept with his girlfriend Mandy a few episodes prior. Lip is able to get away when he tells the cops that the guy sold him crack. Oh, that's not... Debbie then visits a pet store and steals a snake before placing it in Seema's car to get back at her for stealing her boyfriend from her. Later on, Seema arrives and threatens Debbie. Elsewhere, Bonnie and Carl sneak out of detention to rob a convenience store. Carl has now started his criminal history, and trust me, it is long. Out of options at this point, Fiona returns to Worldwide Cup and begs to be, like, demoted instead of fully fired. And this is what the sister of Mike has to say.
You have a hell of a lot of nerve. You know, I withheld judgment when my brother brought you home. I said to myself, she can't help where she came from, how she was raised, who her parents are. My mom and dad invited you into their home. They let you sit at their table with our family, and in return, you destroyed Mike. And now you come here and you ask if we will lie for you to the federal government. You think that you're a good person. You're not.
At the end of the episode, Fiona confronts Robbie, saying that she regrets not telling the cops it was his coke, something she will continue to regret as the episodes continue. The day after last episode, Fiona is partying it up at Robbie's house. After swearing to be on the right track to Lip in the last episode, she's clearly running in the wrong direction. Later that morning, Fiona wakes up clearly on ecstasy. Meanwhile, Sheila plans the wedding while Frank is literally on his deathbed. Sammy tries to tell Sheila that she let Frank go because she heard the death rattle. Sheila then runs upstairs and discovers that Frank is most definitely still alive. While Sammy buys drugs, she learns through her drug dealer that they can just do like this underground, really sketchy liver transplant on Frank. Randomly at the hospital, Veronica gives birth to the twins.
Would you like to stand around here with us?
I'm good.
You don't want to watch?
Oh, honey, I was over there earlier and I saw some hardcore shit, like horror movie shit. No, I'm gonna stay with you.
And this is what really confuses me about the timeline. She is only said to be pregnant in the first episode of this season, which takes place in January, and this is early March? Maybe? Mid-March? Maybe? So she had a 2-month pregnancy. Tell me how that makes any sense. At the Gallagher house, Debbie tells Ian to call the hospitals and shelters to find Fiona, who never came home the night prior. Fiona wakes up in the backseat of a van before they arrive at a gas station in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Fiona is then left at this gas station by the rest of the drug addicts. The employee inside the gas station calls Lip and offers Fiona her coat, but Lip doesn't answer, so Fiona leaves a voicemail. Later that night, at an abandoned warehouse, the doctor performs surgery on Frank.
I'm sorry, what was I saying?
Oh, something about arteries and...
The operation will take 6 hours. When we're finished, you will call 911 and take the patient to the ER. It's time.
Good luck, Daddy.
The next day, Lip arrives in Sheboygan and embraces Fiona and apologizes, and even says that he's taken her for granted all these years. After his surgery, Frank is taken to the hospital, where it's revealed that he didn't actually have a liver transplant. He actually had a kidney stolen. Elsewhere, Ian and Mickey try to take Mandy from her abusive boyfriend Kenyatta. Ian even threatens him with a knife before Mickey grabs Ian and asks him why he's so on edge lately. Back at Kevin and Veronica's house, there's shooting out in the street, so Kevin brings his gun and finds out that it's just like those little pop-it things that you throw on the ground during the 4th of July. And so he walks back in the house with his loaded gun, trips on one of the toddler's toys, and the gun goes off, and he almost hits his kids and Veronica, so Veronica then tells Kevin to get rid of the guns. Back at the hospital, Sheila and Frank are married while he's on his deathbed. Right after this marriage, Frank is rushed over to the operating room by some of the nurses, as everyone is told by the doctors that he was moved up the waiting list and will be getting a liver. At the end of the episode, Fiona turns herself in for violating probation and is yet again arrested. The penultimate episode of Season 4 opens with Fiona being taken to Decatur Correctional, 3 hours away from Chicago for 90 days, which actually isn't that bad of a sentence when you think about her violating her parole. Frank is in a coma-like state post-op. Sheila brings the Native American kids with her to meet their new dad, Frank, who is again still in that coma. However, Carl is able to wake Frank up by just simply doing this.
What the hell are you guys doing?
We're waking Frank's spirit.
Why don't you just do this?
What happened? The doctors reveal that Frank has post-op delirium and is still not really with it. He has lost the ability to remember people's names around him, but it's only temporary, the doctor says. Meanwhile, Lip makes dinner for Amanda's parents in an attempt to scare them. Carl brings Bonnie's family over during Lip's dinner with Amanda's parents, and they are totally scared, with all these kids running around. Meanwhile, Mickey insists that his son Yevgeny's baptism carry on without Terry, who is getting out of jail that afternoon. When Terry arrives at the alibi for Yevgeny's party, Mickey comes out to everyone as Ian tries to leave him.
Hey! Excuse me!
Can I get everybody's attention, please? I just want everybody here to know I'm fucking gay. You happy now?
This ends with Terry getting arrested yet again for trying to kill his son and his son's lover. We find out that Seema has her stepbrother torture Debbie by getting the brother to lead Debbie on. A little bit later on, Maddie tells Debbie that he broke up with Seema after seeing the pictures that were posted online. Maddie then asks Debbie to the school dance. Sir, you are 20. The finale opens up with Frank regaining his memories post-op. He finds out he's married to Sheila and has 5 new kids to care for.
Mrs. Gallagher, I told you to stay off the bed. You're gonna rip out his staples.
Mrs. Gallagher?
I don't think he's confused anymore.
Mrs. Gallagher? We're married?
Still sounds pretty confused to me.
Since when?
Oh, honey, you're a hoot. I think he's in pain.
In jail, Fiona is taunted by a fellow inmate trying to get her to take a pill. Later on, she is taken from work to get a test done. She thinks that they suspect she took the pill that was left out for her earlier, but it turns out that she's getting released because of overcrowding.
Where's Miss Johnson?
Here with me.
I didn't take it, bitch.
I haven't done any drugs. Okay, if something showed up in that test and there was something wrong with the test, or somebody put something in my food, or something. There's a woman here, she's been giving me a lot of shit.
Get your stuff. You're out.
Very convenient for Fiona. Later on, her probation officer reveals to her that she is getting a job at this diner and has really no say in it. Elsewhere, Amanda invites Lip to a sorority ceremony later that night. At dinner, Lip sees Mandy at her work because he's there with the rest of the sorority. At the Milkovich house, Ian begins showing signs of manic depression. He's completely bedridden, which is a 180 from the last few episodes where he was very excited and extraordinarily happy at like all times. Back at the Gallagher house, Bonnie leaves Carl after Carl buys her a gift. It's clear that she just didn't like Carl that way. Sheila is told by the native council that she is not allowed to take care of the 5 kids and that they will instead be taken to their grandfather. The next day, Debbie wakes up to Fiona making breakfast.
Fiona. Hi. I'm making French toast. Oh, Jesus. Are you crying? Oh, don't cry. I'll start crying too.
Debbie embraces Fiona and welcomes her back home. Debbie and Carl then tell Fiona about a more pressing issue, that being the fact that Ian cannot get out of bed.
You want to go for a run? Get some fresh air? Okay.
How long has he been like that?
Since yesterday morning.
And he hasn't gotten out of bed?
No, he's just sleeping. I can't get him up. I tried.
Yeah, so did I.
What about before? What was he like?
Staying up all hours of the night, dancing, telling fucking jokes. He kicks my ass every day. I can't keep up with him.
We gotta get a hold of Lip. He should know.
Know what? What's wrong with him? It means we all get fucking depressed. How the fuck are we not living around
He's
here?
not that kind of depressed, okay? Look, I could be wrong, but it could be bipolar disease like our mom. It's like high highs followed by low lows over and over again. We'll get him an appointment at the clinic and we'll see what they say.
No, look, he's low. We cheer him up.
It's not like that. He may have to be hospitalized. It's mood swings, okay? It's almost impossible to handle.
Don't fucking tell me what's impossible. We're taking care of him here. You, me.
Back at the hospital, Sheila tries to keep Sammy from Frank because she thinks that she knows better than Sammy when it comes to taking care of Frank. This is when Carl arrives and wheels Frank to Lake Michigan, where he can, quote, yell at God.
That's it? I'm still here, you fucker! You lost, asshole!
And at the very end of the episode, we are shown none other than Jimmy Steve stalking the Gallagher house. Season 4 is one of my all-time favorites of the show. Literally every single character is put through the ringer this season, from Veronica and Kevin's pregnancy struggles to Lip trying his best to tackle school, work, and family. It's all done very well. This season is a huge step up for Lip, who spent the majority of the last 2 seasons complaining about being smart and all the opportunities that come along with that. Now he tries to not only step it up with things in the family by taking over some of Fiona's responsibilities, but he also tries to step up in school and improve his grades, which have not been doing very well in the first few episodes. There's also Fiona's poisoning of Liam, paired with her horrible relationship choices and troublesome run-ins with the law, Frank's search for a new liver, Ian's irrational and manic behavior, Debbie getting literally groomed, Carl coming to terms with the possibility of his father dying, and eventually getting dumped by his first girlfriend. Literally everybody in this season is dealing with something pretty depressing. The humor in season 4 appears to be toned down slightly to showcase a more bleak and depressing era in all of these characters' lives. So season 5 begins a whole 2.5 months after season 4 ended. I know this because in the episode it stated that it is the first week of summer, and season 4's finale was said to be around the end of March. Season 5 has a very long timeline that at times is very frustrating, so please just take everything I say with a grain of salt when it comes to the timeline, because it's just not going to make sense all the time. The season opens with Frank and Sheila waking up to Chucky snuggling up to them in their bed because Sammy brought a strange man home with her the night prior, forcing Chucky into the main house. A bit later on, we catch up with Fiona, who's in a much better place than last season. Her and her boss from the diner set up the family pool before having a little bit of a sprinkler fight with Liam. After this, Sean leaves to pick up his son from his ex-wife. Meanwhile, we learn that Ian is living with Svetlana and Mickey, and the trio are running a slew of scams in order to help provide for Mickey and Svetlana's son. Later on, Ian goes jogging with Fiona, who insists that he go see a doctor. Ian tries to tell Fiona that he feels great and he doesn't need to go see a doctor because he's basically recovered from that little depressive episode. Elsewhere at the Ball family residence, Veronica struggles to parent the newborn twins, whereas Kevin, on the other hand, has taken to being a new dad pretty well. This will ultimately cause a huge rift in their relationship, and we will see how that develops throughout the season. Back at Sheila's, Frank has started losing weight thanks to his anti-rejection drugs. He keeps this fact from Sheila, who has really taken it upon herself to make sure that he's taking every single one of his medications and make sure that he doesn't have any symptoms from any of them, like the weight loss.
You've done a wonderful job maintaining your weight, Frank. How are your headaches?
You can't feel a person's headache by touching his head.
That's true. How's the depression? The doctor says exercise could help. And I could do it.
Shields, stop.
We also learn in this scene that Frank begins a secret project down in Sheila's basement that he's been keeping from both Sheila and Sammy.
I'm not hungry.
Are you experiencing a loss of appetite?
No, I'm...
Christ! Oh.
What happened to that socket wrench?
What is this secret project of yours?
Well, it wouldn't be a secret if I told you.
I like French toast.
You know what? I bet your mom is home making breakfast. Why don't you go see?
Morning, Dad.
Sammy walks in and tries to help Frank with his blood pressure, to which Sheila says,
Done and done by those of us who didn't have a man in our trailer and kicked their son out.
These two are sort of fighting over Frank's approval for the best caretaker, leads to some of the best moments throughout this season. When Sammy lets her filthy one-night stand in, the germaphobe in Sheila begins to run wild a little bit.
Oh, it's all right. I'll just take Java.
You can have some of mine.
Oh.
Frank, you have got to do something about your daughter. Hello? I know that you're acting out your father issues by dyeing your hair with that trashy peroxide and dry humping that man on my couch. I don't think it's nice to expose your child to this behavior.
You're not my mother.
Oh! My Hummel!
For a Hummer.
No, it's a Hummel, not a Hummer. You know how expensive this was?
A little bit later on, Debbie shows up and brings Frank a propane tank. With Sammy and her one-night stand out of Sheila's house, Sheila walks back in the house and sees that they've done it on her couch. So she deep cleans the entire house.
Oh, God! Damn it! What kind of a woman has sex in another woman's living room, for God's sakes? Get it! My sex toys? Ah!
Before changing the locks and forcing Chucky back into the RV. Meanwhile, we learn that Mickey has started a scam with some of his brothers and friends where he drives around to people's houses who are moving and sells all of their furniture without their knowledge. We catch back up with Lip on his last day of school as he's moving out. He brings Amanda to the airport, and they both don't really know if they're going to see other people over the summer. After returning to the South Side, Lip gets a job at Tommy's construction company while at the Alibi. Meanwhile, at Patsy's, Fiona serves a woman named Angela who tips her $100 before leaving without touching her food. After Fiona serves a band and flirts with the main singer, Sean stares her down as if she's his property even though they're not together. A little bit later on, all the Gallaghers meet at Patsy's to celebrate Lip finishing his first full year of college. It's here where we learn from Frank that his new liver can quote-unquote sustain 1 beer a day. During this lunch, Ian and an employee of Patsy's go into the bathroom. Back at Sheila's house, Frank reveals to a new friend that he is making a homemade alcohol titled the Milk of the Gods. So it's supposed to be like a really strong alcohol that Frank made himself. A little bit later on, Fiona and Lip ask Mickey to take Ian to a doctor because he's showing more signs of bipolar disorder. And at the end of the episode, Fiona throws a midnight pool party because it is the first day of summer. The second episode opens with Fiona getting off of probation as of today. Lip begins working for Tommy, where he has to haul broken pieces of rubble into a truck. Not exactly his dream job, but definitely something to get him through the summer. Meanwhile, Fiona hits an NA meeting with Sean. While there, she attempts to flirt with him, but he basically shuts all of her advances down.
Are you ankle flirting with me?
You've got excellent ankles. Hey, you can see both of them.
No monitor. How'd you get that off on a Sunday?
Screwdriver. A little bit of elbow grease.
You're in trouble, Kelly.
A little bit later on, during her Patsy's shift, Fiona gets into a fight with a customer over not receiving a tip, despite her wonderful service.
Excuse me? Was there a problem with your service? Because a tip of 15% or more is standard.
You were slow.
Slow? Is it that I was slow, or is it that your bloated metabolism can't handle a 5-minute wait for the 10 pounds of bacon you shoved down your fat throat?
Hey, enough.
Sean gets really defensive with this man, even going as far to assault him before sending him away. Meanwhile, at the pool, Holly starts making out with Carl, which makes Debbie jealous because Debbie stopped being friends with Holly and Ellie since summer has started. Elsewhere, Sheila gets an offer from a couple of lesbians who are trying to buy up all the properties in the neighborhood, and she tells Frank that this offer they made her was double the market value for the house. Sheila really wants to leave Chicago with Frank. She wants to go down to Arizona and see Jody, her grandson Jaime, and her daughter Karen.
Double, Frank?
You didn't accept it, did you?
No, but why not?
Double? It's got scam written all over it.
Father's Day.
Oh, sorry, Tammy. Sorry about that. Frank, can you imagine what we would do with that money? We could travel anywhere in the whole world. You would never be able to find us.
Frank, on the other hand, is focused on his work and not selling out to the rich lesbians in the neighborhood. He said that by doing that, it would contribute to the gentrification of Chicago, which he does not stand for whatsoever. This is when a mysterious man pops up at their doorstep.
I'm looking for Frank Gallagher. He was the recipient of my son's liver.
Oh, come in.
They can't have it back.
Oh, don't mind him. That medical marijuana makes him a little loopy.
Hi, I'm Frank's daughter, Sammy.
Hello. My wife and I were going to have a little supper this afternoon for all our son's organ recipients. A little celebration. You're all that we have left of our son. So would you, both of you, are you Mrs. Gallagher?
I am. Yes, I am Mrs. Gallagher.
Great.
We will be there, good sir.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Sure.
I would love
of you.
to come,
I don't
actually.
think you're invited. We'll talk about you.
Ow, stop it.
No one's touching you.
A little bit later on, Sheila tries to convince Frank to let her sell the house yet again.
The Burning Man, Frank. And mostly Frank. Couldn't get away from Sammy. She just brings something out in me. I don't fully understand it. It's hate. And I am willing to sell this house that I love to get away from her.
Shields, I get it. I will not participate in the destruction of my neighborhood. No, I launch my beer, which will be a far greater legacy than any Burning Man will ever.
I want to see the Burning Man. I want to see the Burning Man.
I don't get it. Is he alive and burning? Does he burn himself a little bit each
I
day?
don't know. I don't know how he burns, or I don't know, and I want to know.
After Frank and Sheila abandon her at the house, Sammy breaks in while they're gone, and Chucky literally takes a shit on their couch. So later on, Sheila does return home, and
I got a feeling that I'm underneath, and now that I'm underneath.
meanwhile, Svetlana helps Kevin breastfeed the babies because Veronica's having a lot of trouble doing that herself. Oh, also, Debbie stops by to ask Svetlana what she can do to make herself more attractive to boys, and Svetlana cuts her hair to shoulder length. Also, Kevin has his hair buzzed in this scene. Back at the Gallagher house, Sean shoots down Fiona's attempts to get with him because he's an addict, and them being together would be pretty bad, according to Sean. And towards the end of the episode, Fiona and Veronica arrive back at the ball house to see the 2 new haircuts on Debbie and Kevin, and let's just say neither of them react super well.
What happened to your head? What the fuck? Okay, first of all, why was there a hooker's tit in my baby's mouth?
All right, with the hooker, it's Svetlana.
Hey, what's going on? Oh, shit. Kev.
Hey, Fiona. Hey, V.
Oh my God.
Oh, my God.
What the fuck? Did you do this?
You know what? I think it's time for a baby's nap. If it was lice again, I could have washed it.
No, it was hot, and the kids were pulling on it.
How could he do this?
It's just hair. It'll grow back.
You fed our baby hooker's milk and you shaved your head.
Let's go to the bar.
Who the fuck are you?
It's just a fucking haircut.
Episode 3 opens with Mickey's Russian prostitutes being deported. This forces Ian, Svetlana, and Mickey to think up new scams and new ways of earning money so that they can continue to contribute to the bill. Elsewhere, Debbie throws a party at the Gallagher house and uses Frank's beer as a selling point. Frank doesn't actually know that she's taken the beer from him, but she takes about, I think, like 10 mason jars worth of it or something like that. It's here where she coerces a very drunk Maddie to go upstairs with her.
It's okay.
I'm feeling dizzy.
Meanwhile, Fiona goes out on a date with Davis, the lead singer of the band that she has been flirting with the last few episodes, and finds out that he is not single.
Davis.
Hey. Your girlfriend?
Yeah. Fiona is Gus's friend.
She instead pretends to be with the guitarist Gus. He plays it off like he is with her because obviously it's a very awkward situation. At the end of the night, Gus then asks Fiona out on a real date.
Want to grab a coffee?
What about tomorrow?
Yeah, sure. There's a spot right around the corner from my place. How's 11?
Sounds great.
It's also here where Mandy and Lip sleep together, I think for the final time in the series, because there's like this threat of Kenyatta taking Mandy away from Chicago, and this is definitely like a goodbye lay for both of them. Elsewhere, Sheila tries to get Frank to notice her.
Oh, hello, Frank. I was just marking different spots that I will travel to when I sell this house.
You're not selling the house.
I am my own woman. Oh, I got a new dress today. And I got my hair done and my makeup done at Sephora. I said to myself, well, if he notices just one thing, if he just notices one thing, well, maybe I would reconsider. This is earnest money to buy this house, which means they're earnest.
Oh, God. Oh, God, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't. I'm still too weak. What if this neighborhood, only thing that's ever meant anything to me?
I thought I was the only thing that ever meant anything to you.
And you, of course, and you. Yeah, you're my everything. You are my dawn. You're the moon. Sheila, I'm begging you.
The next day, Debbie wakes up to a text from Matt.
Last night, did we,
I know, it was wonderful.
So that did happen?
You don't remember?
I was plastered. Debbie, I was barely conscious, okay? You date raped me.
You were on a date?
No, Debbie, you statutory raped yourself. I could go to jail. Don't call me.
Elsewhere, Lip learns that Mandy has left Chicago with Kenyatta before he could convince her to stay with him. As the seasons go on, more and more of the core cast leaves, and there's actually another huge departure in this episode that we'll get to towards the end, and it very much affects the show as it goes forward. Also, Fiona and Gus go on their date and then immediately go back to his apartment to sleep together. They basically have a sex bender over the next entire day. Meanwhile, Sheila meets with an RV dealer and brings the RV to the house for Frank to see. Also in this episode, Frank sets Sammy up with one of his neighbors in exchange for brewery equipment. Despite really wanting to buy an RV and go explore the country, Sheila decides to keep the house because Frank wants her to. When Sammy finds out that Frank used her as a bargaining chip, she runs downstairs and begins attacking him.
You dangled me like a sex carrot to get brewery equipment? I don't like your tone. He promised that man that I would put out on the first date.
I've seen you put out after the first drink.
Get off him! Get off him! You heard what you called me?
All right,
that is not right. No, she
all
should
right,
not
calm
be
down.
talking to your wife like that. I hope you die in a bottle of diarrhea. That is unacceptable.
Both of you, just shut the fuck up! I got a raging lunatic succubus of a daughter on one hand and a lumpy, smothering pervert of a wife on the other. And you are both driving me fucking insane. You are needy, you are slutty, your son is a lump of pure misery, and you have disgusting personal hygiene. You are a certified whack job. What? You take great pleasure in shoving fake penises up the butts of the men you love. And I cannot stand your unreasonably complicated cooking. Oh, Jesus Christ.
And randomly, the house literally explodes. It goes up in flames. This gives Sheila an out, so she gets in her RV and drives away, and we literally never see her again. Sheila was one of the best characters this show has ever seen. I really would have loved Sheila to have stayed all 11 seasons because she was genuinely so integral to the show. Every time I rewatch the show, I just get really sad when I watch the newer seasons without her because she was such a great character. And Joan Cusack deserves a round of applause. In fact, many rounds of applause for her show-stopping performances. Overall, this season is still decent after this episode, particularly episode 6 onward, but Sheila's exit definitely marks a turning point for the show in terms of quality. Particularly the comedy from this point forward becomes less and less funny. At the beginning of the episode, we learn that Carl has started selling drugs. Meanwhile, we catch up with Frank, who finds out that he bought a Porsche the night before using the insurance money from Sheila's fire. However, he has basically lost track of where he kept the rest of the money. So basically this whole episode, he tries to retrace his steps to try and figure out where that money is. Meanwhile, at Patsy's, Gus visits Fiona and proclaims his love for her.
Mention that I'm falling in love with you.
No. Thank you.
Elsewhere, Debbie gets in a fight with Holly after she accuses her of R-wording Maddie. After they start fist fighting with each other, a guy named Derek shows up and Debbie is immediately in love with this man. A little bit later on, she goes to the gym where he works out and officially introduces herself to Derek. A little bit later on at the club, Fiona and Veronica go dancing because Veronica needs to let off some steam. And she accidentally, how do I put this? She grinds on a guy and quite literally gets off. The next thing I'm about to say is insane. She returns to Gus, and the next morning, the two, on a whim, just decide to get married.
Eating pancakes with our hands.
Want to get married?
What?
My folks met on a Tuesday. Married 2 days later.
I'd marry you.
Oh, would you?
Is there a reason I shouldn't?
No, I'm a good choice.
I'm a great choice.
Well, if you're up to me, I'd do it today.
Do it right now.
Oh. All right.
Keep in mind, their relationship is only a week or two long. Like, it has not been that long since they met. This just might be one of Fiona's dumbest decisions, in my opinion, but, like, honestly, it's a pretty innocent dumb decision. Like, yes, there are a lot of ramifications that go along with getting married to somebody, but, like, so far, there aren't any red flags about this guy, Gus, so can you really blame her? Elsewhere, Carl and Frank investigate his bender. At Patsy's, Gus's band shows up to sing the wedding song to Gus and Fiona, which reveals to everyone inside that she's married. Meanwhile, Lip bonds with Amanda's dad while staying with them in Florida. Together they geek out about robotics, and he even offers Lip an internship when he's done with college. Veronica comes home and tells Kev about her transgression from the night before. Oh, also in this episode we get a side plot where Ian steals a bunch of suitcases.
Where are the belts? I put them there. Obviously they've been moved.
Your boyfriend's losing his shit.
Nikki, help me keep this organized, okay?
Each other.
Little heroin to start the day.
It's insulin.
What else don't I know about you?
Yeah, that tends to happen when you marry somebody that you've only known for like a week. Fiona heads back to the house and tells the kids that she has an announcement for all of them later that night. Meanwhile, in the Milkovich house, Mickey's brother shows him a wanted poster with Mickey's face on it, prompting him to pull the plug on the moving van scam. A little bit later on, Ian does a RN video. Back at the Gallagher house, Sammy demands Frank give her the insurance money, the money that he spent during the episode prior.
I'm sleeping.
We need to go see your lawyer lady. I need that new trailer.
Also in this scene, we see Sammy's trailer get towed, but she doesn't seem to care because Frank has promised her a whole new one using the insurance money. Also, Kevin and Veronica's relationship continues to struggle as she tells him to go out and get off on another woman like she did the episode prior with another guy at that club with Fiona. So Kevin actually does this. Also, Frank tries to scam his way into David's house. After training with new bestie Derek at the gym, Debbie punches Holly and Ellie around and the encounter is filmed. At Patsy's, Sean and Fiona kind of have an estranged relationship now since Fiona's married, and Sean low-key did have a crush on her. He pushed her away, so I mean, it's kind of his fault. Also in the episode, Fiona and Sean find their coworker Jackie after an overdose. Jackie had a custody hearing that day for her child, but missed it so that she could get high, which violates her parole and most definitely costs her her child. This whole ordeal also causes Fiona to miss her marriage announcement with Gus at the house, so Gus is just like there eating alone. Meanwhile, at the bar, Lip seeks to prove to Mickey that he is Southside enough when they use AR-15s to destroy a bunch of buildings in town. When the cops show up, Lip narrowly gets away because he was abandoned by Mickey and the rest of the Milkoviches. Back at David's house, Frank has sex with David's mom, which is just like kind of gross. Later on that night, Kevin returns home from his transgression and Veronica reveals that it did little to make her feel better about what she did the episode prior.
At least we can put all this behind us now. Oh, see, I knew it. I knew it was a trick. You said this would fix everything.
I thought it would, but it's like putting a Band-Aid on a stab wound.
She reveals to Kevin that she's never actually been scared about their relationship until now. It's here where she gives Kevin an ultimatum. If he walks away from her to go check on their crying babies mid-conversation, then she's leaving him. The next day, Lip leaves for college early to become an RA and help set up for the orientation to escape his worksite job. It's here where Fiona reveals to him that she's married before he goes.
Hey, what was that big announcement? You're not going back to jail, I hope.
Please.
Are you pregnant?
No.
Married?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Fuck to who?
Gus?
What the fuck's Gus?
I've mentioned him before.
Yeah, in passing. Jesus, are you happy or?
I seem happy?
Yeah.
I'm a little freaked out, too.
Wouldn't be.
Later that day, Sammy complains about the fact that Frank still hasn't gotten her a trailer, so Debbie reveals to her that, you know, Frank is lying. Like, he doesn't actually have insurance money. She chases Frank out of David's house. Also, Ian comes home with the money he made from that adult video, and Mickey realizes that he's quote-unquote out of his mind.
He didn't use a rubber? Are you out of your fucking mind?
Relax, psycho.
You are out of your fucking... Don't touch me. You need to pack your shit. I gotta take you to a hospital, Ian.
This is where he tries to throw Ian out because in the last few episodes, he's done a lot of manic shit, like collect all of those suitcases, go out and literally sell his body to people. This doesn't work though, because Ian just randomly takes Yevgeny from them and drives off into the sunset. At Patsy's, Fiona does apologize to Gus for missing their announcement the night prior. She also confesses to him that she's not exactly sure if they made the right decision in getting married. After Gus leaves, Fiona sees Angela sat at her normal booth, so she walks over to her, and none other than Jimmy Steve is sitting next to her.
You came back after all.
I did.
I'll let you two catch up.
I am so tired of this man. This episode picks up right where the last one left off. We see Fiona punch Jimmy in the face as his appearance and return comes as a complete shock to her.
Motherfucker! Jesus! Where the fuck have you been? You disappear? You don't return my calls, my texts?
I had something come up. Oh, fuck out!
Fuck!
Stop hitting me!
Where?
On a boat. A yacht, actually.
And not a call, not a text.
I was handcuffed to a metal pipe in the engine room, pissing into an old Maligata can.
For a year.
At this point, Jimmy has been out of Fiona's life for an entire year. It's confirmed that Jimmy was taken by Nando in either November or December 2012, and this episode takes place in September 2013, so it is about a year. However, at the end of season 4, we see him pull up to the Gallagher house in March 2013, which brings his about a year line down to 2 to 3 months.
Who the hell is that?
That's my partner.
Your partner. As in your girlfriend?
No, my partner as in crime and shit. You're the one who talked. You got married?
What was I supposed to do? Was I supposed to sit on my porch knitting, hoping one day you'd show back up?
I think you deviated my septum.
Good. You're lucky I didn't have a knife. Oh, Jesus. Fuck.
I know.
You were going to college. You were becoming a doctor, and then you just vanished.
So what now?
What do you mean, so what now? I'm married.
Uh-huh.
Jesus. You're such a fucking asshole.
Fiona leaves work early after getting a call from Mickey about Ian running off with his baby. And yeah, Ian is definitely on the run.
It's fantastic. No snow, ever. Nothing but sun and white beaches and palm trees and pools. Pools in every fucking backyard. Every backyard. Can you imagine that?
Elsewhere, Lip struggles to balance the needs of all the college kids. Fiona calls Lip to come back to the south side after only leaving earlier that day. Meanwhile, Frank tries to apologize to Sammy, who has recently taken over for Fiona as the head of the household.
And there are new rules around here. No money, no food. You want something to eat? You pay. There's a curfew. No more coming in at 3 and waking the whole house up anymore. Doors will be locked at 10 o'clock. 10?
Promising a 10 p.m. curfew for all the kids in the house, the Gallagher siblings attempt to make a plan about Ian.
Yes, he's not answering.
Who's Ian, the one with the red hair? Yeah, sweetie, he's the gay one with all the problems.
His being gay doesn't have anything to do with his problems.
I didn't say gay was the problem, just that he is gay and he has problems. He left like 18 hours ago. He could be anywhere by now.
This is where Jimmy arrives and the rest of the kids find out Fiona is married to Gus.
I have no idea.
Hey, Lip, how you been?
I thought you were married.
I am.
You're married?
Uh-huh. To who?
To Gus.
The musician?
Is that Gus?
No, that's Jimmy.
Who's Jimmy?
Her old boyfriend.
Gus is an incredible musician. I met him at work, and he's a great guy.
When did you get married?
A few days ago.
And you've been keeping it a secret? Why?
Excellent question. Why keep wonderful musician Gus a secret if he's so great?
Out now!
Fiona tries to tell Jimmy to leave her alone, but she eventually invites him in again and they sleep together.
I love you.
The next day, Sammy offers to take over for Fiona fully because she has a husband now and will most likely be living at his apartment. We also learn in this scene that Debbie starts her first day of freshman year.
High school, her first day.
Debs! High school! This is so exciting! You're gonna have a blast!
Gus shows up in this scene and Fiona has to pretend that Jimmy isn't upstairs in her bed. After sending Gus on his merry little way, she does the same to Jimmy and claims that she never wants to see him again. Fiona heads over to Veronica's, where she learns that Veronica and Kevin are separating. A little bit later on at Patsy's, Sean speculates that Fiona slept with her ex Jimmy due to how she punched him around. She heads over to Angela at Angela's normal booth, who tells her that Jimmy needs to make a decision about their new business venture together, and Fiona's like, I just reunited with him, like, I'm not in the business of telling him what to do. Elsewhere, Ian is arrested for his erratic behavior because he leaves Yevgeny in a really hot car. Later on that night, Jimmy tries to apologize for leaving Fiona, so the two have sex yet again before she tells him to get off, and then she returns to Gus's house like nothing ever happened. Meanwhile, Ian is released from jail to Lip, Carl, Debbie, and Mickey, and at the end of the episode, he is admitted to a psych ward. Right, so I've just realized that I put the wrong DVD for this season. That was season 4. This is the 5th season's DVD. So, episode 7 opens with Fiona telling Gus about her night with Jimmy.
I have to tell you something.
What's wrong?
I slept with my ex.
Recently? Since we've been married?
Yesterday.
Gus asks to meet Jimmy in an attempt to put all this behind them. Meanwhile, Carl and Chucky start the 8th grade together. Because of her relationship issues with Kevin, Veronica moves into the apartment above the Alibi. Meanwhile, Svetlana moves out of Mickey's and in with Kevin because of the whole situation with Ian from the episode prior. Elsewhere at college, Lip finds out that his tuition didn't go through all of the way. He stands in line all day for an answer before he's sent to the financial aid office. He learns that he's $12,000 short because somebody threw away his mail back at his house. Lip's solution to this is to get tons of credit cards and just use those to pay off his college debt. Meanwhile, Sammy tries to apologize to Frank, but he refuses to do the same thing. Sammy plays a bunch of tricks on him, like moving the couch into the street while he's asleep on it.
Fuck you!
A little bit later on, Fiona and Mickey visit Ian in the psych ward, and we can see that Ian has been pretty doped up. Mickey in particular struggles with this because seeing his boyfriend very sedated is like kind of depressing for him, so he leaves the meeting early. Back in the Ball household, Kevin wakes up from a nap to Svetlana performing some wifely duties on him. Meanwhile, at the bar, Carol tries to convince Veronica to go back to Kevin because Kevin is, quote, a catch. Elsewhere, we also see Derek finally kiss Debbie as they are now officially together.
I don't want you as my friend. I want you as my boyfriend. Look at me. I'm nice, funny, smart, and I'd fuck up anyone that hurts you. I'd let you and I'd be a great girlfriend. And if you can't see that, screw you.
I like you too.
Later that night, Sammy warns Frank for a final time to leave the house before Lip arrives home looking for his scholarship papers.
Hello. Did you guys sign for a registered letter this summer? I don't know. Does anyone think to get rid of the fucking junk mail?
I am doing the best I can to keep this house afloat, Lip. Do not get to be my fool.
Seriously, guys, where could it be? It's from the government.
Maybe try the window, Lip.
You fucking kidding me? Look, this is my scholarship papers, okay? Look, I can't pay to go back to school this semester because of you guys. I just had to take out a $5,000 cash advance, okay?
Can you spot me at 20?
Look, my credit is ruined because nobody told me about these goddamn fucking papers.
Have to take responsibility for our own actions. Comes off as needy and desperate.
I am not needy or desperate.
Fucking gun down, Sammy.
This isn't about you, Lip. This is about me and him. You don't get out right now, I will shoot you.
You see, I knew you weren't a real Gallagher. Maybe a freezer.
Are you fucking nuts?
A few inches in any direction, I could have hit a major organ. I want you to tell me you need me. Tell me you fucking need me!
Even you aren't that batshit crazy. Okay, I need you.
Oh, Dad.
Meanwhile, at their meeting, Gus's emotions get the better of him and he punches Jimmy right in the face. Gus leaves the situation and Fiona tries to comfort Jimmy. After the fight, Jimmy reveals he canceled the trip to Dubai with Angela. However, Fiona turns down Jimmy's proposal to get back together because she has a much better life now than she did when she was with him. She then tells Jimmy to quote-unquote let her go. So Jimmy gets on his motorcycle and rides off into the sunset, and we thankfully never have to see his annoying little face ever again. Fiona chooses the better option that is laid out in front of her, that being Gus. Last season was full of her making mistakes, such as leaving Coke out for her baby brother Liam, going to jail, cheating on her really nice boyfriend Mike with his brother. In this season, it's definitely not as bad for her, but she's definitely still falling into the same traps that she did last season. The constant flirting with her boss, Sean, and her jumping into relationship after relationship, and the fact that she was able to get back together with Jimmy so quickly after punching him, all the while she's still married to Gus, shows that there's still a lot of growth that needs to be done on her part. At the beginning of the episode, Ian gets released from the psych ward, and Fiona has put Debbie in charge of making sure Ian takes his medication. Throughout the day, Debbie literally does not pay attention to Ian and accidentally lets him flush his pills down the toilet, forcing the family to try and go get his lithium somewhere else. Meanwhile, Kevin and Lip sell a bunch of weed to college students. Meanwhile, Veronica lets Svetlana perform wifely duties on her, much like Kevin did the episode prior. Back at college, Lip is given 1 week to get the rest of his money for school, or else he's getting booted out. Fiona leaves work early and tries to get the prescription refilled. When this fails, Debbie runs off to go and try and get a diagnosis for herself. Fiona tries to chase after her and runs into Veronica.
What's going on? What is not going on? Everything is fucked. Why are you dressed like that? I told you I have a date.
And I told you not to fuck up your life. I'm not kidding. I'm serious, V. Do not fucking do that. You guys are happy. And you can be happy again, but not if you go fuck someone else. And the two of you? I mean, I can't handle it if you can't figure this shit out. Okay? And you're Kevin V. So figure it out.
You're married too, Fiona. And you were happy too, and then you fucked Jimmy. So figure out your own shit instead of putting it all on me.
A little bit later on, Fiona says goodbye to Gus, who leaves for tour because he believes it's the best decision for everybody involved if they just have some time apart. A little bit later on, Frank tells Carl to strap the heroin to Chucky's chest in order to kind of clear Carl from having to sell all these drugs, and also to get back at Sammy for being crazy around Frank the last couple episodes. Also in this scene, Frank refers to Carl as being 14 years old when he's in fact 11. Quick timeline checkup, we're likely in the last few months of 2013. I'm gonna go ahead and guess that this is either October or November of 2013 because the school year has started, the weather has started looking pretty gloomy. The writers still somehow think that this is fall 2015 when it is in fact fall 2013. Meanwhile, at the train station, Chucky is arrested. That night, Sammy confronts all the siblings and begs for them to tell Carl to confess.
My innocent son is under arrest thanks to your brother.
Sammy says Carl put drugs on Chucky. Carl, if you did that, then
It's not a question of if. There is no way that Chucky was smuggling heroin by himself.
Heroin? The fuck's the matter with you?
You have to do the right thing and tell the cops it was you. My son is in jail and it is your fault!
He's not gonna be in there for that long. A week maybe. He's only 10.
He's 13!
Chicago police! Open up!
Oh, go, run!
He ran that way. What? Sammy?
The police arrive, which reveals Sammy already ratted Carl out to them. At the end of the episode, the siblings tell Carl not to say anything without a lawyer.
What a fucking lawyer, motherfucker.
Many weeks after the last episode, Fiona asks Sammy to leave after she got Carl arrested in the last one. While in a meeting with Carl, she tries to get Carl to rat G-Dog out, which would give Carl a reduced sentence.
I'm not a rat.
Don't think of it as ratting your drug dealer out. Think of it as justice for the scumbag who made a kid do his dirty work.
I wanted to.
Well, that's not an argument I'd advise using at your sentencing.
Gallagher's don't snitch.
Later on at the hospital, Frank gets his bandages changed by a woman named Bianca.
You didn't rewrap my bandage.
Another doctor will see you. Oh, I need a drink.
Morning drinker, woman after my own heart. What's the occasion?
Cancer.
Cancer?
Stage 3 pancreatic.
When did you find that out?
10 minutes ago.
The alibi room is a couple of blocks away.
Okay, which direction?
Oh, I'll show you.
So she decides to spend her day with Frank. She's trying all these new things like drugs, sleeping with Frank, and drinking. After Lip shows up late to class, Lip's professor Helene tells him to meet her in her office later that day. And when Lip does this, he sleeps with her. They sleep together. Lip is now sleeping with his professor. This again walks the line between the child being seen as the one with all the power here. No, Lip is not a child, but he is much younger than Helene is, and also she's his teacher. So the next day at Carl's sentencing, he does end up getting a full year jail time thanks to his disrespectful nature in the courtroom.
I did something really dumb. I shouldn't have. I trusted a fucking retard with a man's job.
If you want to go into my chambers and speak to me off the record, now is the time. Otherwise, you will end up in juvenile prison. Is that what you want?
Yes, please.
That's not what I was hoping to hear.
I know what you were hoping to hear. If your honor would lose 20 pounds, I would consider tapping that.
I think I've heard enough. I sentence you to the maximum of 1 year at the Illinois Department of Corrections Juvenile Justice Division.
Oh yeah, we also find out that Lip's tuition is randomly paid for by a millionaire, and towards the end of the episode, Lip goes over to Helene's house to sleep with her yet again. This time, they are caught by Helene's husband, who laughs it off because I guess they have this, like, arrangement with each other. The episode opens with Bianca waking up to Frank in her apartment with no memory of how they got there. She sends him on his way and tries to get back to getting treatment instead of ignoring the diagnosis. Meanwhile, Debbie has Fiona make an appointment for her at Planned Parenthood because she plans on losing her virginity soon with Derek because things are getting serious. Frank tries to win Bianca over. Eventually, she lets him back into her life because she's just decided that this diagnosis is final. Like, there's no coming back from this. Meanwhile, Debbie meets Derek's family. She sees his sister-in-law and her baby and realizes that that's the life she wants. She wants to be welcomed into this big, happy family. This is where Debbie loses a lot of fans. A lot of people just do not like her in these last 2 seasons we've talked about because she's gone from being like a really sweet, nice, caring, smart individual to one that's oftentimes bratty and boy crazy, is trying to trap her boyfriend into having a kid with her at only 14. The hate train for Debbie is at times completely ridiculous in my opinion. Many people forget that she was literally a child during all of this, so mistakes can be made when you're a literal child who doesn't really have a parent at home anymore. Fiona's off with her boyfriends. Sammy is the one ruling the house now, so Debbie's decisions kind of make sense. Elsewhere, Ian makes Mickey hit him so that he can feel something.
Makes your blood fucking toxic and gets you hammered in like 2 seconds flat. Can't do it. Oh, the fuck, Ian?
I don't need a fucking caretaker, all right? I need a shit-talking, bitch-slapping piece of Southside trash I fell for. But the next time my dick is limp from all the meds, don't go all, oh, it's okay, just suck it harder.
I just don't like this relationship. I'm like one of the only people that isn't a stan of this relationship. I just don't get the hype around it. Like, it's fucking disgusting representation in my opinion. It just paints gay people as mentally ill and also always in toxic relationships, which I just don't like. I find the choice that in order to get straight people and homophobic people to be interested in gay relationships on screen, you have to write them in the most toxic, masculine, and gross way possible. Very ridiculous. Elsewhere, Sean's ex takes his son Will to Pennsylvania without much say from Sean. Fiona tries her best to comfort Sean, but like in a friendly way because she's still married to Gus, who's off on tour. Meanwhile, Debbie makes a conscious effort to have sex with Derek before her contraception kicks in. Kind of a horrible decision on Debbie's part, but this is what she wants, so she's gonna get what she's going to get. Meanwhile, Fiona kisses Sean not even an episode after her husband left her for tour, and towards the end of the episode, Kevin finally returns to Veronica from his stint in Lips College. Also, in addition to Sammy getting Carl arrested, she has now gotten Ian arrested by military police for trying to steal a helicopter back in season 4. Who remembers that? That was a deep cut. That was from the beginning of season 4 when we learned about all of that.
Ian, I want you to know you are a really good kid with a big heart. You have some hard times ahead of you, but you're gonna do great. Gentlemen, this is Ian Gallagher. I think they're ready to take him to jail now.
Why, Sammy?
It's a shame when someone you love gets taken away.
The penultimate episode of season 5 opens with Bianca buying 100-year-old alcohol with Frank before running to the top of a building and drinking the entire bottle. Bianca's end-of-life celebration here is to do as many crazy and outlandish things as she can so that she can try and feel a little bit more alive before she ultimately dies. A little bit later on, Sean takes the Gallagher siblings to Ian's military trial where they try and explain Ian's history with mental illness.
Ian is clinically bipolar. The Army should not be court-martialing him. If anything, you should be helping him.
This diagnosis was made by a doctor?
Yes, sir, and we can get you those medical records too.
How would you characterize his behavior?
Compared to how he used to be, he's different.
He'll go back and forth from, being depressed to, incredibly wound up.
Our mother was bipolar, so we know what it looks like. She put us through hell, and I'm not saying that you put us through hell, but when they're manic, they can be destructive.
Is he unable to care for himself?
Sometimes, yes.
Meanwhile, at the bar, Veronica and Kevin deal with a busted pipe, and after many arguments, they eventually get back together. Meanwhile, in military jail, Ian is visited by special guest star of this episode, Monica. Yes, Monica has returned for the first time since season 2, if you can believe it. She was mentioned quite heavily last season because it was said that Ian was living with Monica at one point when he was on the run from the military.
I'm glad you came. I wasn't sure you would when I called you.
Of course I would.
It's good to see you. I'm really glad you came. I needed someone to talk to who gets it.
Does Fiona know I'm here?
No, they don't know we still talk.
Oh. There's always gonna be people
They're gonna try and fix us. And you can never make those people happy. Like it breaks their heart just to look at you.
Yeah, I mean, even Mickey now.
As your boyfriend, right? You need to be with people who accept you for who you are. You, Ian.
Meanwhile, Mickey spikes Sammy's drink and tries to torture her with Debbie before realizing that he overdosed her and she is now dead. That night, Bianca and Frank arrive at the Gallagher house to smoke crack, this being her first time. The next day, Frank and Bianca leave for Costa Rica after her family finds out that they are together, and at the end of the episode, Ian is revealed to have been rich. Amanda's jealousy of Helene begins to seep through.
Spend the night over at Mrs. Robinson's again? That's got to be against a few faculty rules.
We're both consenting adults.
Separated by 2 decades, numerous advanced degrees, several published works, a husband and tenure.
We'll be back till after lunch.
Okay, thanks.
Elsewhere, Ian and Monica ride in a semi, eventually arriving at an RV park. Ian meets her shady boyfriend and begins having second thoughts about staying there with her. Back at the Gallagher house, Fiona walks in on Debbie and Derek having sex, and Debbie reveals to Fiona that she is pregnant.
Don't embarrass me like that. Embarrass you? You can't have a boy in your bed. Why not? You do. I'm a grown-up. I'm pregnant. No, you're not. Are you sure? Maybe. Well, you're getting an abortion tomorrow. No. Yes. I love him. No, you don't. We're gonna get married. No, you're not.
Derek's mom got pregnant when she was 6 months older than me, and they've been together 20 years.
What are you talking about?
And we're gonna have a lot of babies, and we're gonna be happy.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Deb.
Why won't you ever let me be happy?
Meanwhile, in Costa Rica, Bianca accidentally shoots Frank in the arm.
Oh.
Gus gives Fiona a bit of an ultimatum. He gives her some time to kind of figure herself out before fully deciding if she wants to be with him, because he can tell that her heart's just not in it. The next morning, it is revealed that Bianca walked straight into the ocean and committed suicide, leaving Frank all alone. Amanda's jealousy boils over.
Disappeared last night.
No.
That was a really shitty thing to do.
And she hits Lip in the middle of the library because he missed their date the night prior.
Listen, I never asked you to come over, okay?
What the fuck was that for?
Making me fall in love with you?
I didn't make you do anything.
Yes, you did. Because you're so fucking... you!
And then she proceeds to break up with him in the middle of the library. Fiona then heads to Patsy's to confront Sean and tell him that she's in love with him, despite being married. The final scene of this episode feels really anticlimactic to me. Ian finally returns home after not really liking it over at Monica's RV park. He tells Mickey he doesn't want to be with him anymore, and it's looking like the two will break up.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Too much! Too much is wrong with me. And you can't do anything about that. You can't change it. You can't fix me, because I'm not broken. I don't need to be fixed, okay? I'm me.
This is it. This is you breaking up with me.
Yeah.
But then, out of nowhere, Sammy shows up with a gun in hand.
Shit. Is that Sammy?
Nikki!
You think I'm a good person?
Gunshot?
You like a weird ass kid!
Are you gonna get fucked, you little bitch?
Hi. What is going on?
After this, Frank returns to Chicago all sad because his girlfriend has died, and Debbie finds out in the post-credit scene that she is, in fact, pregnant. Overall, this is my least favorite finale up until this point. The last half of season 5 is a bit rocky as a whole for me. The timeline truly begins to make no sense here. I ask all of you to bear with me because you sort of have to suspend your disbelief when I bring up the timelines of seasons 4 to 7, especially here in season 5, which is presented to us as it starting in the last week of school, and by the end of the season we land in what appears to be fall still. However, at the beginning of season 6, it's stated that that season begins at the start of the following fall, which just doesn't make any sense with Debbie's pregnancy because she's still very early on in her pregnancy, so the timeline's a bit fucked up. Placing season 6 in fall of 2013 still feels so wrong to me. I'm gonna take some liberties here and say that season 5 definitely begins in mid-June like they say it does, and then finishes the following March or even April of 2014 before season 6 picks up in September or October 2014. That way it's only like a 4 or 5 month break in between the seasons instead of an entire year. Despite the fact that they presented season 5 as ending in the fall of 2013, Frank wakes up on Bianca's grave at the beginning of episode 1, which states that she died April 5th, 2015. Now, this is where your suspension of your disbelief needs to come in, because that was definitely not 2015 when she died. The timeline just doesn't make sense for that. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that it was April of 2014. We're just gonna hope for the best there. Here in this episode, we learn that it is fall 2015, which again doesn't make any sense. Since Debbie is pregnant, I'm going to assume it's fall 2014, placing it 5 to 6 months later. School has started at this point for all the kids, so I'm gonna go ahead and assume that it is either September or October. At the Gallagher's residence, Fiona wakes up next to Sean, who she has recently started seeing. Fiona then reminds Debbie of her Planned Parenthood appointment later that day. This is where I'm truly confused, because if she finds out that she's pregnant back in April, according to Bianca's headstone, and it's now fall, confirmed by the show and the weather outside, why are they still unsure that Debbie is pregnant?
We're doing this today, Debs. We gotta know for sure, one way or another.
If she's like 5 months along. Meanwhile, back at college, Lip wakes up Professor Clyde Ewins, which is a kind of frequent thing for Lip, as we've come to learn. We also see Lip teaching a class for Ewins because Ewins is late. Elsewhere, White Boy Carl, as he's now known, is released from juvie early.
7, 48, 49.
Gallagher, 50. Ready to go?
If you remember back in like episode 9 of last season, he was given an entire year sentence, which again confirms the fact that this is at least fall of 2014 because he went to jail in fall 2013, I want to say, so it's been about a year. Meanwhile, at the diner, Svetlana pays Ian to come with her to visit Mickey. He kind of is over Mickey at this point, but he decides to go.
I got another job for you. Joe Franchetti, C Block, 602. They pay $2,500, but you must stab him in the eye.
You're just gonna sit back there the whole time?
Lots more jobs coming in. We make a lot of money with you in here.
Fine. But why don't you take the milk sucker and scram? We'll talk to Ian. She's coming back.
Svetlana paid me.
I'm thinking about you. Ever think of me? You know, wait for me.
Been here for 15 years.
Yeah, but I'll be out in 8 with overcrowding, so.
You try to kill my sister.
Half-sister, 1. 2, like you give a shit, bitch. I had a comic calling fucking MPs on you. Will you? Wait. Fucking lie if you have to, man. 8 years is a long time.
In the absence of Bianca, Frank has found himself lost and confused and really sad, so he visits many different holy spaces to look for answers regarding his lover's passing. Side note, Frank's character from this point forward starts to feel a little bit like he's a parody of himself for me personally. There's definitely some moments where he shines and we truly see the old Frank yet again, but I feel like here, after Bianca's death, is where the decline starts with his character work. Meanwhile, at school, Debbie finally tells Derek that she's pregnant, and he's a little bit flighty. He does not want to have a baby. Understandably, they're like 15. Back at the diner, Sean asks Fiona to be the new assistant general manager. A little bit later on, Carl finally returns to the Gallagher house and is completely different.
Debs, did you get my text about picking up hamburger buns?
Nah, it's me.
Carl! Holy shit! Hi! When did you get out?
This morning.
Why didn't you call?
Nice, huh?
It's different. I thought you had another couple months.
Got out in good behavior.
Your voice, it dropped like 2 octaves.
And my testicles dropped too.
How'd you get home?
G-Dog picked me up from Kawani this morning and drove me back up.
We also learn a little bit later on in the episode that Derek moves to Florida, which leaves Debbie without a boyfriend and baby daddy. So the Gallaghers throw Carl a welcome home party, but Carl leaves early to go hang out with his new friend Nick, who he plans to have a sleepover with. Despite her better instincts, Fiona decides to take the assistant manager position while on a date with Sean. That night, Lip stalks Helene's house and sees a younger man coming out of it, and he believes this to be Helene's other lover. However, it's her son. Elsewhere, Lip apologizes to Helene for beating up Dylan the day before. This relationship is not good. It's not going to end well. I'm going to tell you that right now. And at the end of the episode, Derek's parents show up to discuss none other than Debbie's pregnancy.
We'd like to talk to you about the baby.
What baby?
Derek and Debbie's baby.
Fiona tries to push Debbie to get an abortion, but Debbie refuses to do it because she wants a baby. Like, she genuinely wants a child at the age of 15.
I just called the clinic. I made an appointment for you for Friday for an abortion.
Not part of my plan.
But now that Derek's gone, it's
He's
gonna...
coming back. His parents are assholes.
Did you talk to him?
We love each other.
Debs, come on, you're 15.
Yeah? Please. You're always bragging about how you had to raise us when you were 16.
Bragging? I didn't have a choice. You have a choice.
Yeah, and I choose to have a baby.
You can have a baby when you're older and finish high school and college.
Right, so I should just stop being pregnant then.
Yes.
I'm not killing my baby.
It's not a baby, it's a few cells.
The website says my baby's the size of an orange right now.
Debbie is still a child, so she struggles to see any other outcome besides the one where she's happy and in love with her boyfriend while they raise their newborn child. Fiona, who's had to deal with raising her 5 siblings for the better part of a decade, has the foresight to tell her that this is a terrible decision, and it could end with her having another child to help co-parent. A little bit later on at the diner, Fiona starts her first day as assistant general manager. From this point forward, Fiona just continues to rise up from the struggles she had in seasons 4 and 5. Might not look like much, but as we'll come to see, the healthy relationship she now has with Sean, paired with this new stable job, Fiona really starts to move up the food chain, as it were. Her first day as assistant general manager sees her literally fire Ian.
What are you guys doing?
Sorry, Miss Fiona. Ian said it was okay.
You just gonna sit there? Did you pay for that pie?
Me?
I'm the assistant manager.
Keep reminding her.
What's with the attitude?
Look, you're on my ass 24/7. At home, did you take your meds? At work, you're late. Pick up the pace.
How about some gratitude for the job I got you?
Gratitude for what? Flushing through fry muck all day, having people snap their fingers at me, listening to my bitchy sister boss me around.
If you don't like it, leave.
Fine.
Fine.
I will.
Fine.
I don't need this shit.
Really? You're just gonna leave like that? Good.
Good.
Go!
Also here in this episode, we learn that Sean recently shot up heroin and has been keeping that fact from Fiona.
This job sucks. I just fired Ian. Or maybe he quit. I don't know. I don't know that I can handle all this responsibility. You are in and out of here all day long, going to a million meetings, leaving me alone to deal with everything.
I shot up
What?
when I was cleaning out Otis's locker.
You're just telling me this now?
You had a lot on your mind.
I didn't think this was a thing. You're sober.
It's always a thing.
So now I gotta add this to my list of crap to worry about?
You don't have to worry about this at all.
I found a bag of smack and you shot up. That's handled?
You know how many bags of smack I found I didn't shoot up?
Then why this time?
Because I'm an addict.
So you're gonna do it again?
What do you think? I've been going to all those meetings all day.
Meanwhile, in an attempt to recapture the magic he had with Bianca, Frank accidentally kills a cancer patient with meth. After Fiona gets a routine drug test done, the woman testing her reveals to her that she's pregnant.
I'll just make a note of your pre-existing condition.
Pre-existing condition?
The pregnancy.
My sister's pregnancy?
Your sister? No, you. You didn't know you were pregnant? Congratulations. I hope it's good news.
Then Fiona runs home and tries to drag Debbie to Planned Parenthood to get abortions together.
I am not killing my baby.
Why are you doing this to me?
To you? Why does everything always have to be about you?
Because I'm finally almost free from raising you kids and I don't intend to do it again.
Nobody's asking you to.
Of course you are. I am going to get stuck doing it.
Oh, don't worry. I would never let you near my baby. I don't want you fucking it up like you fucked us up. I'm going to Florida.
Florida? What are you
Let
talking
go of me. You don't even know where Derek is. Florida is 8 million miles Too long. bad, Fiona. I'll find him. You are not going to Florida. Ow. Get off me. Trying to force me to get divorced. Fiona. Get off. No. We are going to that fucking clinic.
Meanwhile, I think I totally forgot to mention this, but Kevin's really loud Republican-ass neighbor named Giannis has been bugging everyone in the neighborhood lately, so Kevin quite literally cuts the wrong cable on Giannis's motorcycle, which accidentally injures him. This storyline with Kevin's loud neighbor is like my least favorite Kevin and Veronica storyline. It's so boring and unnecessary to the progression of their story. Episode 3 opens with Kevin visiting his racist neighbor in the hospital, still trying to keep his guilt in check, as Giannis still doesn't know that he is the one that cut the brake cable. Meanwhile,
I know how shitty this feels. You feel sick and like a little crazy, and I'm sorry because I didn't get that.
Principal pulls Carl aside and asks him to sell him one of his guns, and a bit later on, Carl is shown selling guns to basically every single teacher at his school, means for the clinic to get an abortion, and when she gets there, she learns that she has to wait a couple of weeks and make an appointment.
I don't know, I guess I feel like I kind of earned my space.
However, Lip tells him that it's just not gonna work out because he doesn't have space in his dorm room.
You really want to do, but I need you to support me too, because no one else does. Not our family, not our neighbors, not my school. Just Frank, if you love me, you will support my decision in having this baby, because I know I'm going to be a great mom.
We can have babies together in 10 years. When we're ready, we made mistakes, but it's not too late to fix them.
Mine wasn't a mistake. I lied to Derek that I was on the pill because I know what I want.
Fiona then tells Debbie in a really cold-hearted moment that she is not going to support her.
You're right. Frank is the only person who thinks this pregnancy is a good idea, and that should bother you.
And towards the end of the episode, Fiona returns home from work to see an eviction notice on her door. Episode 4 opens with Ian baking cookies for firefighters, while everyone else debates where they're going to live. Fiona confronts cousin Patrick about the eviction notice that was left on their door the day prior.
I'm curious what you told the sheriff to get us evicted.
I took a loan out against the house for 60 grand, didn't pay it back, so Dorset Bank foreclosed. I get $500 in rent, usually late, from cousins who want to frame me as a child molester, or I pocket 60 large and call it a day.
A little bit later on at the bank, Fiona learns that she can literally get a loan of her own in order to buy back the house for herself and all the kids. Elsewhere, Frank tries to set Debbie up with an old man. Later that night, Fiona asks everybody for money in order to help out with the down payment. She turns down Carl's offer to use some of his drug money. The next day, Chucky is released to the Gallagher siblings.
Hi, Fiona.
Fiona Gallagher?
Uh-huh.
I'm Lissa with Juvenile Detention Services. Charles is your nephew, correct?
He can stay here until we find another relative. Any relatives.
Need you to sign and confirm that you're a legal adult, that this is a drug-free household, that you will maintain...
Hold on. Much better.
I'm hungry.
Ian, did you get your Nazi nephew some breakfast?
Later on at the hospital, Frank meets Tyler and suggests he and his wife, who has cancer, hire Debbie as a nanny. Also, Ian meets the gay fireman of Chicago and suddenly develops like 15 crushes. Meanwhile, Lip and Helene are in Indianapolis for a speech that she's about to give, and after being corrected on one of the things that she's talking about, she basically gets blackout drunk and admits that she loves Lip. Later on, Fiona pawns Gus's ring to help out with the down payment for the house. She ends up getting a $100,000 loan from the bank in order to buy back the house. The next day, Debbie meets Tyler and Erica and interviews to be their nanny. Meanwhile, Helene tells Lip that she was talking nonsense the night before in regards to her confessing her feelings. Before the house goes to auction, Sean confesses to Fiona that he killed a guy many years ago.
I went to prison in my 20s.
We figured. With all the ex-cons you hire.
And I killed a guy.
Right.
I was drunk and high. I'm sleeping in a van. I get in a fight with another junkie over, damn, I don't know what. He went down. I kept beating him. I guess his head hit the curb or something. He went to the hospital and later he died.
Meanwhile, Kevin confesses to Giannis that he was the one to cut the brake cable.
No, he didn't cut the cable to your motorcycle. I did. But I meant to cut the throttle so you would stop revving your engine. Giannis. No, I know this brings up strong feelings, but... Holy shit!
And at the end of the episode, the Gallaghers lose the house at the auction, leaving them homeless.
60,000 right there. Thinking now 70 would have given 70. Would have given it a go 70. 70,000. I have 70 right here. Would have given 80. Would have been 80. Would have given it a go 80. 80 right here. Would have been 100,000. How about her? 100. Thinking now 110. Would have been 110. Would have given it a go 110. 110 going once. Going twice. Oh, 110 in the back now. 120. You're out, buddy. And now
we're gonna lose it. Race the car. Hurry up. Race the car.
We can't go over 130. You can bid it back in.
We're out.
How about her, man? Would have given 130. Give it a go. I can tell you one. 148,000. What do you think? Last call. Sold. You got her. 130,000. Thank you.
Kevin and Veronica talk to Carol about taking in some of her church's refugee kids to foster them, and it turns out that they have to take in 5 of them as opposed to just 1. Elsewhere, Debbie officially moves in with Erica and Tyler. Back at the house, the Gallaghers are fully evicted from the house that they grew up in, with all of their stuff being thrown into the street.
Motherfucker, what are we gonna do with all this stuff? This is everything we have.
Get some boxes. Be right back.
What is going on? We're getting evicted.
Sean invites Fiona to stay with him at his house, but Fiona misreads this as him inviting everyone in the Gallagher clan to stay with him.
Yeah, you can stay at my apartment.
That could work. It might be a little tight, but I think we could fit everyone.
Everyone? It sounded like Carl and Debs have themselves covered.
Debbie won't listen to me, but Carl will, and he didn't know you were going to invite us.
Well, I didn't. I invited you. Well, Liam's okay. We'll stand with me, Fiona.
So?
So if my ex finds out Carl was too, she'd never let Will come again because he acts like he's the Black El Chapo.
Why are you being an asshole?
You're acting like Carl's riding a tricycle. He served time. He's carrying a piece. He's not gonna let you tell him where to go.
How do you think we made it all these years, huh? Every time we got torn apart and beaten down. It's by staying a family, no matter what.
I gotta get my son.
Great, thank you. I'm gonna be sleeping on the street with my family.
After the argument is over, Fiona officially says goodbye to the house that she grew up in. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Frank gets to know Erica. He takes her to buy a coffin, and afterwards they head to the Alibi to share a few drinks together. Amanda asks Lip for a photo of her painting in his room. She goes through his phone and finds a nude photo of Helene. While he's away, she tweets this photo out to everyone in the school, putting Helene's job at risk, but also Lip's education. When Lip sees this later on, he confronts Amanda about it, who refuses to apologize for ruining his relationship.
What do you think? People say hands are the hardest thing to draw, but I think it's tits.
How the fuck could you send out that picture of Helene?
I just saw your phone there and the idea popped into my head like divine intervention. You know, my therapist says that revenge doesn't give you any real satisfaction, but clearly she's an idiot because this feels really, really good.
It's all over the goddamn school.
Yeah, social media's fast, huh? You shouldn't have screwed me over.
I never made any fucking promises to you.
Yes, you fucking well did. Does it hurt? You should change your security code more often.
He then heads to Helene's house, where he is ignored and sent away by the husband. Meanwhile, at a barbecue, Ian asks the gay firefighter named Caleb out on a date. He also reunites with Tony the cop at this gays-only baseball barbecue thing, and we learn here that Tony the cop is in fact gay. Meanwhile, Fiona and Liam move in with Sean after all, and at the end of the episode, in another really horrible choice by the writers, Erica crawls into bed with Debbie, and Debbie just obviously has to let this happen because she is her employer. Episode 6 opens with Debbie at an ultrasound with Frank. Unsure if she wants to know the gender of the baby, Debbie asks the doctor to write the gender down on a piece of paper so that she can choose to look at it later. Meanwhile, Fiona breaks into the house to grab a closet door which has all the children's heights written on it, and this is where she finds out that the new owners aren't even planning on keeping the house because it's in such bad shape and they're going to put it back on the market. In Fiona's attempt to try and buy the house back, we learn that she has to get Gus to sign some agreement that says that he has no legal claim to the house. So this means that Fiona has to get Gus alone in a room, and this whole episode is just her trying to do that. Elsewhere, Lip tries to hunt Helene down, but she completely ignores him yet again because she is trying to distance herself from this horrible situation. At the hospital, Frank learns that Erica is in fact in remission, which sort of soils his and Debbie's plan to have her take over as the new mom of the family. Later that day, Fiona is stood up by Gus because he's in no mood to talk after that whole debacle last season. Oh, what was that about? Oh yeah, he was cheated on twice by Fiona. Elsewhere, during his date with Caleb, Ian is really uncomfortable and like kind of anxious because he's never been on a real date before, and this is like a fancy ass restaurant. Halfway through the date, Caleb is called into the station, so he brings Ian along with him. Later that night, Gus stands Fiona up yet again. The next day, Lip is called in to give a statement about his relationship with Helene. Helene tells the committee that she's officially cutting Lip off and that there will be no contact between the two for the foreseeable future. Afterward, Helene basically cuts Lip off outside of the meeting and says,
Can you stop for a second and fucking look at me? So what, that's it then, huh? What, that's how you want to end this?
Don't text me. Stay away from my home, my husband, my son. Don't make this any uglier than you already have.
Meanwhile, at the clinic, Fiona finally has her abortion. Elsewhere, Erica throws Debbie a gender reveal party in which basically everybody leaves early. So I think I forgot to mention this, but in either the last episode or this episode, Nick bought a bike that it was like his dream bike. And he finds out a little bit later on in the episode that the bike was stolen. And then he eventually, in this episode, figures out where the guy lives. So he tracks this kid down, goes to the house, and kills him. And Carl shows up a little bit too late to stop him from doing so. The family of the boy call the police on Nick, and Nick is arrested, and Carl has to watch from afar. Carl then runs to Sean's house because he has nowhere else to go, and Sean eventually does let him stay there. Also, Fiona finally gets Gus to sit down and sign the papers. However, he refuses to do so unless she gives up his grandmother's ring, which, if you remember, in the episode prior or the episode before that, she pawned.
So my signature gets you something you want.
Correct.
Where's the paper that gets me what I want?
What do you want?
Well, I wanted a wife who wasn't a lying, cheating sack of shit. So basically, this is you asking me for something and offering me nothing in return.
Back at Erica's house, Debbie's plan is to now kind of latch onto Erica instead of the husband, because the husband doesn't see anything in her and Erica is actually quite into Debbie. So Debbie's like pretending to be into her. She even lets her sleep next to her. I don't know if they actually do anything sexual. I really hope not. But to my knowledge, they're just sleeping next to each other, like cuddling. The next morning, we meet none other than Sammy's mother and Chucky's grandmother, Queenie.
Well, look who it is. Squirming around in the filth just like I left you.
How did you find me?
Well, I wasn't looking for you, baby. I was looking for this chubby little menace. Slimy fucker.
And at the end of the episode, Carl lends Fiona the money that she needs to buy back the house. A few weeks after the last episode, Carl makes a few renovations to the house that he now technically owns. Meanwhile, Erica officially fires Debbie because she's in remission and doesn't need Debbie there anymore. Caleb invites Ian to a wedding to scare his homophobic family. They actually really hit it off with each other. Caleb is a huge improvement over Mickey in my opinion. Elsewhere, Lip is kicked out of the dorms because of his painting on the wall. Even though it wasn't really his painting, it was Amanda's, but he's still kicked out. Also, Frank and Queenie defend Chucky's right to write about Nazis in class. I don't really like the storyline for Frank. I think they could have done so many other things with his character in season 6. We also find out that Lip gets a new job as a cook for a sorority house where all the girls are constantly eyeing him. Towards the end of the episode, Debbie returns home and meets Queenie, who tells her all about natural birthing. And with the house becoming so full with Chucky and Queenie, Sean officially asks Fiona to move in with him amid all of these new people moving in and also Carl making all these renovations. At the door, and it ends up being one of Carl's drug friends, in fact one of his bosses, and Frank answers the door for him, and then Carl goes outside to see what this is all about. This is where Carl tells the guy he doesn't want to be in the business anymore, and he slaps Carl around. So Carl's solution to this is just to let Frank do all of his rounds for him, and Frank is like more than happy to do this because Frank obviously wants money and he will be getting a cut of Carl's drug money if he goes and does the job for him. Meanwhile, Fiona tries to spend time with Sean's son Will so that he will be comfortable with her staying there. Meanwhile, at Caleb's apartment, Ian decides that he wants to try and become an EMT, so he starts studying. For the first time in about a year, Ian says that he's actually focused on something and and he's found like something to look forward to since the whole Mickey relationship went up in flames. Carl heads to Veronica's house to get his cut stitched up. V tries to tell Carl to stop appropriating black culture, which he's very much been doing in this season, and to get out of the drug game. And Carl's like, it's not that simple. Oh yeah, we get this weird side plot this episode where Debbie meets this guy named Larry at a baby store. Larry is an adult man, and again, getting really tired of these underage relationships because she's very much still a child. It is said that she is 15 here in this season definitively. It just kind of makes me uncomfortable that they put her in so many horrible age gap relationships. Also in this episode, Frank gets cornrows like Carl's and attempts to extort money out of local businesses. One shop owner says that he only gave Carl money because of the bodyguard that Carl had walking around with him. So Frank goes and tries to find a scary black bodyguard of his own. Back at the alibi, Veronica confides in Kevin, knowing that he will eventually spill the beans to Fiona about all the stuff that Carl is involved in. He eventually texts Fiona in the middle of her hoverboard date with Will about it, and so she heads down to the alibi and he tells her about the whole Carl situation. After Frank makes all the money for the day, he tells Carl he's disappointed in him for leaving the business.
I'm going straight. I couldn't be more disappointed in you, son. Thanks for nothing.
And a bit later on, Fiona confronts Carl about his gash above his eye, and Carl tells her about the thing that happened with Nick in the last episode.
Can't stop seeing that dead body in my head.
You were there when he killed the guy?
After. Figure I'll start seeing more people get dropped if I stay in the game. I want to see that.
Is it okay if I say I'm proud of you?
At the end of the night, Larry drops Debbie off at her house after kissing her stomach and asking her on another date for the next day. Disgusting. The next day, Frank is threatened by Carl's boss before he's given a huge bag of coke to sell. A little bit later on, Carl tries to tell G-Dog that he's done with the business and he wants out. G-Dog and his associates steal all of Sean's and Carl's clothes and Sean's car as payment for Carl leaving the business. A little bit later on at the hair salon, Frank and the rest of the employees do all of G-Dog's cocaine and replace it with baby powder before selling it to customers in Indiana. Also, Debbie eventually finds out that this guy that she's been seeing, Larry, has many girlfriends and all of them are pregnant. After returning home naked and without a car, Sean finds Will playing with Carl's gun in his room. Sean blames Fiona for not watching him closely enough while they were visiting the Gallagher house earlier that day.
I'm so sorry. I only let him out of my sight for a minute.
Which was obviously enough time for him to find a gun in your house.
I swear that I didn't know that Carl had that.
He was in prison. It didn't dawn on you that he might have guns in the
I am
house.
just as upset as you are.
No, you're not nearly as upset as I am. You let my son find a gun in your house.
I didn't know. What am I supposed to do? Pat him down?
Yeah! If he's anywhere in the vicinity of your fucked up criminal brother, yeah!
Screaming at me. How many times do I have to say I'm sorry?
When Nicole finds out about this, she's gonna take away my custody.
I will explain to her what happened. It is not your fault.
I mean, of course it's my fault. I'm his father, and I left him with you.
Toward the end of the episode, Fiona makes Carl throw out all of his hidden guns before ripping out his braids one by one. Back at Caleb's apartment, Ian tells Caleb that he is bipolar, and Caleb in turn reveals to Ian that he has HIV. For the first time in Ian's life, he is building a really cute bond with someone who's actually a good person. And to finish off the episode, the next day, Frank is chased by G-Dog's men for selling their customers baby powder instead of cocaine. The episode opens with Frank getting shot at by G-Dog's associates. He jumps into Queenie's van and heads to the commune with Debbie. Lip wakes up from another party. This marks the beginning of a bit of an alcohol problem for Lip that we will explore very heavily in this season. Lip seemingly cannot go 1 minute without down in one. He's basically turning into a clone of his father, Frank, in the absence of Helene. Also in this episode, Kevin accidentally rats Svetlana out to immigration while serving the immigration officer a drink. The officer then sits down with her to ask her a few questions. Meanwhile, at Patsy's, Sean ignores Fiona's attempts to apologize for letting Will near Carl's guns.
I found all of Carl's guns. I went to the police station. I left them there, no questions asked.
Good idea. I can't ask Will to hide this from his mom. I gotta come clean.
Okay. I wrote a letter, which you can give to her. It says that it was all my fault and that you are a great dad.
I'm just not gonna want to hear from you.
What can I do then? I feel awful.
Go. Did you print out sales from last week?
Are we gonna talk about this?
Maybe later.
A little bit later on, Gus shows up at Patsy's and asks Fiona for a divorce. His only demand is that she give him his ring back. She meets with a divorce attorney who tells her that they're going to go after his trust fund. Back with Debbie and Frank, they are acclimating to life on the commune. Debbie is treated like a fucking queen here on this commune because she's pregnant, and they all see that as something really special. She's given her own tent where men are not allowed because it will disrupt the feminine energy. Throughout the episode, Frank starts to get more and more annoyed because he's tasked with some of the most unsavory jobs that you could probably give somebody. I'm just gonna put it like that. Back at college, Lip invites Ian to a party later that night. Elsewhere, Svetlana suggests she marry Veronica to avoid getting deported.
All right, so I'll marry you. Yeah, you move in with us, and I'll meet with the USC guy, whatever his name is.
Are you forgetting something? You're still married. So you two are not married? We had a pretend wedding, but...
I'm not following.
Gay marriage is legal in Illinois.
What, you marry her? Yeah, I don't know about that.
You said you do it. How's this any different?
Well, all right, if that's what you want, okay, I guess.
Back at Patsy's, Carl gets his first check from Sean. Dominique shows up and asks Carl why he's suddenly not interested in her anymore, and Carl claims he's just feeling a bit low because of how small his check was. She then kisses Carl in the middle of his shift. While at a party where Lip is serving drinks and also downing a lot for himself, Ian gets a call from none other than Mandy. When he arrives at her hotel room, he finds out Mandy killed a guy in self-defense. Ian helps her get rid of the body and then brings her home with him so that she can wash the blood off of her dress. Back at the commune, Frank, things for him are not going well. He is forced into a foursome with Queenie. He leaves in the middle of it and tries to get into Debbie's tent, but is shunned because of the no male energy rule. A little bit later on, Fiona tries to tell Sean about her situation with Gus, who called her earlier and was less than cooperative with her about getting into an agreement about his ring. But Sean has had enough of her issues at the moment, so he leaves in the middle of this conversation for an NA meeting. The next day, Lip wakes up in the ER after sustaining alcohol poisoning. Upon leaving the ER, Lip confronts Brenna, a fellow college student who he forgot the name of the night prior.
I got a ride in an ambulance and an IV bag full of salt water. You know what the hospital charges for that? $2 grand. All right, so congratulations, you got me back.
For what?
For getting your name, Brenna. I am sorry if I hurt your delicate fucking feelings.
I called 911 because you were passed out on a bench in the freezing cold. I thought you were gonna die.
Thanks, Florence Nightingale. Next time, mind your fucking business.
Back at Patsy's, Fiona asks why Sean is avoiding her. She tries to get him to admit his feelings towards her, and he's still trying to hold back in order to spare her feelings. He brings up the Liam incident from season 4 as another example of why she's so dangerous to be around.
I'm not losing another night's sleep waiting for you to man up and have a goddamn conversation.
I keep seeing Will holding a gun in his hand. Over and over, it plays in my mind. If I lost custody, it's your fault? I just tell myself it was an isolated incident.
It was.
Let Liam find a pile of coke.
So, I can get my head around you being a heroin addict, an ex-con having killed a guy, and this is a deal breaker? Are we splitting up or not?
Hold on.
No. I'm heading out to get divorced right now because I jumped from relationship to relationship without ever catching my breath, which is why my life is such a fucking mess. You focus on Will? I'll focus on me.
Back at the commune, Frank asks to do a new job and is saddled with running the generator via riding a bicycle. A little bit later on, Frank tries to leave the commune, but Debbie says she wants to try and raise her baby there because of how welcoming and quote-unquote smart all the people are. And as Frank is on his way out of the commune, Queenie pulls him aside and brings him to the gigantic opium farm that they have there. We also get this kind of awkward moment between Mandy and Lip.
Too damn shy for the dancing shoe. Street cred comes from a soft cedar street. Guitar pines glowing.
And at the end of the episode, during the divorce meeting, Fiona and Gus's lawyers talk terms. Sean then shows up out of the blue with Gus's ring to save the day. Not only does he save the day, but he gets on one knee and uses the ring to propose to Fiona. The best part about all of this is that I don't think he planned it. I think it all just happened because he was caught up in the heat of the moment. The episode opens with Debbie waking up on the commune with contractions. Queenie tells her not to worry as she's not due for another week. She does take her to the birthing tent as a precaution. Meanwhile, Svetlana officially divorces Mickey off screen so that she can marry Veronica behind Kevin's back. At Sean's apartment, Fiona and Sean start packing everything up because he is officially moving into the Gallagher house, and also so that they can start saving their money for a wedding. At college, Ewens tries to get Lip interested in these internships he's getting him. Meanwhile, Carl and Dominique have dinner with Dominique's father, Luther, who absolutely hates Carl's guts. He offers to take Carl with him to work. Elsewhere, Ian gets tested for HIV and cannot recall how many sexual partners he's had. After testing negative, he leaves for his EMT final exam. Back at the Gallagher house, Fiona fetches Monica's wedding dress in preparation for her own wedding in just a few days. Svetlana makes some alterations to the dress while Fiona proclaims she wants this wedding to be special. She says that this time will be different than her last wedding. She wants everybody to be there to share this moment with her. Back at the commune, Frank is challenged by one of the men and the two get into a fight at the pit. Elsewhere, once Debbie realizes they don't have any drugs for her pain, she wants to leave the commune. Lip is confronted by the sorority mother of the sorority he works at, who reveals to him that he peed on her the night prior at that crazy party. She tells him to pack his things, understandably. She then sends him to student counseling to talk about what happened.
I don't have a problem.
You were in the ER.
I overdid it. Look, I've been drinking since I was 10.
Since you were 10?
Why are you writing that down?
And what drove you to drink when you were 10? Was it problems at home?
Jesus fucking Christ.
When a student violates the school alcohol policy, he's required to attend counseling, both one-on-one and group sessions with other student alcohol abusers.
Okay, I'll check my schedule.
It's mandatory.
After this meeting, he confronts Ewens because he saw that Ewens published a paper that completely stole all of Lip's ideas with none of the credit given to him. And so things in Lip's life are actually kind of crashing down at the moment. He's on the verge of being expelled according to counseling. He has no housing and he won't stop drinking. Later that night, Fiona has a bachelorette party for herself. It's here where Veronica and Svetlana reveal to Kevin and Fiona that they got married earlier that day behind Kevin's back. Later that night, Ian returns to Caleb's apartment.
I aced the test.
Congratulations.
And then I get the paperwork to get certified. Have you ever spent any time in a mental institution or been treated for mental illness? You fucking believe that? I get a perfect score on my test and they want to keep me from being an EMT because I spent a few days in an inpatient program.
Lie. It's none of their goddamn business.
Back at the commune, Debbie begs Frank to take her home because of the whole natural birth situation and also the very scary doctor. However, just as they get home, G-Dog arrives to kidnap Frank, leaving Debbie crying for help in the street. It's here where we see Kevin, Veronica, and the rest of the Gallagher siblings help Debbie give birth on the kitchen table.
Be okay. It's gonna be okay.
I'm right here.
When I was having my girls, the doc told me to do 3 quick pants and then 1 long blow, okay?
I'm gonna do it with you,
There you go.
okay?
She names the baby Francis after Frank because of the time that they spent together this season, and at the end of the episode, Frank brings G-Dog to the commune to raid the opium in exchange for his life. However, one of the members of the commune shows up and sees that this is happening, and so G-Dog and the guy start shooting at each other. We have no idea what happens because Frank just runs out of there and heads back to Chicago. Weeks after the last episode, Franny's screaming keeps the entire house awake at night. The next morning, Frank begs Fiona to let him walk her down the aisle, which is just really rich coming from him because he's been so absent from her life at every other point.
I may not have been present for your first steps or your first lost tooth or your first blowjob, but as patriarch, I'm entitled to my traditional place of honor next to you for your big day.
It's my traditional right to ask said patriarch to pay for it.
Done.
What?
Done. I'll pay.
In money.
Debbie has decided she's going to go to high school with Franny on her arm. Meanwhile, immigration stops by the Kevin, Veronica, Svetlana house to see how the whole situation works with Veronica and Svetlana, who are now pretending to be lovers. Elsewhere, Carl asks Luther to put in a good word for him to get into a junior police training program since Carl's GPA is very low and he has a history as a juvenile offender. But Luther just tells him to go home and start doing his own laundry and then work his way up the food chain and earn his way into that police academy. Ian officially starts his new job as an EMT. Back with Debbie, her teachers force her out of class because the baby is being disruptive. Also, Frank begs on the streets with Liam so that he can pay for Fiona's wedding venue. Fiona questions if Frank is even going to come through because he's been so absent for like every part of her life. Back at the bar, Tommy teases Kevin about Veronica and Svetlana's relationship, and Kevin wonders if their fake marriage has any real romance to it. Later that night, Frank talks to Derek's dad about child support for Debbie's new baby. Frank plans to use this extortion money to pay for Fiona's wedding. In the middle of the night, Veronica is fully seduced by Svetlana. The next day, when a random brick flies through the window and almost hits Debbie and Franny, Sean tells the Gallagher siblings to stop being okay with this shit. The brick was addressed to Frank. This puts a really sour taste in Sean's mouth. Elsewhere, Frank reluctantly pays for food and drink for Fiona's wedding, much to her surprise. Back at the Gallagher house, while studying, Debbie accidentally drops Franny on the ground because of her sleep deprivation. Back at the bar, Veronica finally confesses to Kevin that she is kind of falling for Svetlana. Like, actually, after getting wasted, Lip questions Ewens during a lecture.
Actually, people stopped using field theory for this shit back in the 90s, which is about when you started pickling your frontal cortex with scotch.
You're losing your shit. Go home, sober up.
I changed your shirt when you woke up covered in your own vomit. I listened to you bawl your face off about some student you fucked 8 years ago.
Stop talking now, Lip. You're doing damage to yourself.
You don't give a shit about me. You don't give a shit about me because you don't have to.
And that was your ticket out of the gutter, pal. And you just blew it. You're officially fucking fired.
Fuck you! Fuck you! God!
Meanwhile, Ian's boss finds out he is bipolar and decides to fire him for lying on his application. Back at the house, Sean and Fiona comfort Debbie. Sean and Frank then get into a fight about the brick that flew into the window earlier that morning. Frank reveals to everybody that he accused Derek of statutory rape.
It's amazing what the threat of a statutory rape charge will do to make a man start sweating coins.
You threatened Derek's parents by accusing their son of statutory rape.
You did what? Taking money from them?
Their son spooched a baby into you and then flew the coop. That's abandonment. They owe us.
He'll never speak to me again. Frank told Derek's parents that he statutory raped me so he'd give him money.
Really? Oh, fuck, Frank. That's a dick move.
It's a move that paid for the deposit on your restaurant. You're welcome.
Sean then gets into a literal fist fight with Frank.
You don't deserve to walk your daughter down the aisle.
I thought you were gonna fucking kill each other! Stop! You're a fucking asshole, Frank. God, you were doing so great. You almost pulled it off. Then you had to go fuck it all up again. The fuck out of here. The fuck is wrong with you? You're on parole. You want to go to jail for fighting with that fucking asshole?
I was standing up for you.
I don't need you to stand up for me. I can stand up for myself. It's not fucking standing up for me. That's just not about me. That's about your fucking ego. My heart is not getting shattered. I don't have a heart when it comes to Frank.
Back at college, Lip decides to destroy Professor Ewens' car, and then he is found by campus police and arrested. That night, Frank rides the L train and meets a hitman. He uses the rest of the extortion money to hire a hit on Fiona's husband-to-be. At the beginning of the finale, Lip is released from jail after being bailed out by Ewens. Ewens informs Lip that he's most likely going to get expelled for taking a swing at a campus cop. He suggests he go to rehab and try and sort through all of his shit, following this most recent alcohol-related outburst. After Frank's plan to hire a hitman falls short, he decides to buy a gun and try and get the job done himself. Elsewhere, Ian decides to beg for his EMT job back. Later on, at the Alibi, Lip tells everyone that he was expelled from school. After a few drinks, Kevin informs Lip that he's sitting in Frank's spot, which is kind of a wake-up call for Lip, who, above everything, does not want to end up like his own father.
Why don't you get out of here, man? Go back to college, learn something.
No, I'm not going back.
What?
Well, expelled. I got bored. It was costing a fucking fortune anyway.
Does the ass of that bar still feel nice and worn in? It should, because that's where your father always sits.
Meanwhile, Fiona and Sean learn how to dance in preparation for their wedding. After closing at Patsy's, Frank breaks into the diner and discovers something. We don't see what it is, but don't worry, we will soon find out. The next day, before the wedding, Lip throws up in the church bathroom. This episode is a huge turning point for Lip's character, even though he's not like the main focus. He's been kicked out of school and is starting to resemble his own alcoholic father, whom he spent most of his life running from. Next season, we'll really dive into a lot of Lip's issues with alcohol, and we'll see where his story progresses from there. I personally love his storyline going forward, and to see himself start to pick himself back up a little bit after the last few seasons, even if he's no longer moving up in the world of college, he starts to sort of pick himself back up after his alcoholic outbursts. So right as Fiona is about to get married, Frank shows up to crash the wedding, to insult everyone, like literally every one of his kids. Sean begs for Frank to leave, but he refuses, continuing to ruin the mood by dropping one of the biggest bombs of the series.
And now you're marrying Sean. Sean. Oh yeah, I know you, Shawnee boy. Takes a dope fiend to know a dope fiend, and you are world class. I went by your business last night, found some things. Maybe we should go back there, you and your bride-to-be, and show her the little box you hide under the invoices, the bottom drawer of the filing cabinet, you know, with the needles and the spoon, the rubber tubing, and the little baggies with this brown powder. How many hits did it take you this morning? How many did you think it was going to take you to get through all this wedding shit?
Is it true?
Oh, he's a junkie through and through, your husband-to-be. I'm surprised we're not better friends, Sean. We have so much in common.
Well, you are a fucking asshole, Frank.
But at least I'm an honest asshole.
After this whole debacle, the wedding is obviously off. His only defense is that it just doesn't affect him anymore, and Fiona just sits there smoking her cigarette.
How long have you been using a gun?
A few months.
Every day? Last night, when we were dancing in the kitchen? And now on our wedding day?
Yes. It doesn't really affect me as much anymore, you know, just takes the edge off. I'm gonna, take Will back to his mother's tonight. Beg Nicole to let me keep shared custody. It's the most important thing now.
More than us?
Yeah, he always was. I was always honest about that. Hey, I have to go. Take care of yourself, okay?
Elsewhere, Debbie begs Lip to stop drinking because she, like the audience, can see the path he's walking down. Lip eventually checks into a 30-day rehab facility. Oh, also, we see the Gallaghers, Kevin and Veronica and Svetlana, dump Frank into Lake Michigan for ruining Fiona's wedding.
Fuck is wrong with you people? No! No!
I had originally planned to make this season the last one included in this video because I really do see Fiona's botched wedding as a sort of ending to this era in the show. But after reevaluating how long that would make part 3 of this series, I decided to include season 7 in this video as well. Overall, season 6 is not my favorite season of the show, but it definitely is not a bad season at all. I think characters like Lip and Debbie particularly get to shine this season with their storylines. This is the first season where I would say Emma Kenny, who plays Debbie, outshines some of the other actors on screen. One thing I didn't like about this season is in the earlier part of the season where the Gallaghers almost lose their house. The show has us believing that they are really going to become homeless for like 2 or 3 episodes before it completely switches it up and it turns out the Gallaghers just end up in the same house as before. It kind of seems like they just wanted to add this big dramatic split up in the middle of the season to try and fill time, but nonetheless, I do love the drama anyway. The finale of this season is definitely the highlight for me. I love the scene where Frank exposes Sean's true colors to Fiona. As horrible of a person as Frank is, at least he's honest with Fiona. Fiona. I would say some of the major issues of the show really do start at some point in seasons 5 and 6, but I don't think they become glaringly obvious until seasons 7 and 8. And I personally really enjoy season 7. It's one of my favorite seasons of the show. But once we get into the seasons I cover in part 3 of this video, it will become very clear why the show had such a sudden and upsetting downfall. As for the timeline, we know the season starts at some point in fall of 2014 and ends in the earliest months of 2015. When Lip gets out of rehab in the premiere episode of season 7, it's revealed to have been 30 days since episode 12. It's clearly sunny outside, so I'm going to assume that season 7 begins in either April or very early May, which puts the end of this season in either late March or very early April. The first episode of the season opens with Frank waking up in a hospital room where he finds out that he's been in a coma for the last month. Elsewhere, we see Debbie stealing a stroller from a rich woman in the park to sell on eBay because she does not have a job and it is about to be summer. Meanwhile, Lip is released from rehab, so he heads to Patsy's in order to ask his big sis for a new job.
You're the boss now?
Temporarily. I'm filling until they find a new manager. I can't wait to get back to waiting tables. This job sucks. You want something to eat?
Nope. But I could use a job.
What about finishing college? Is that off the table?
It's not for me.
Your future off the table, too?
I got a professor. He's gonna help me find something, a tech startup or IT. It just might be a while before I get paid, you know?
Could use another dishwasher.
Yeah, when can I start?
I could use some help right now.
That's great, yeah.
A little bit later on, Frank returns to the alibi, and Veronica, Kevin, and Svetlana are surprised to see him, leading him to suddenly remember what happened to him and how he ended up in Lake Michigan. In an attempt to try and get more rest at night, Debbie hires a new nanny named Juliemi. While the interview is happening, Fiona walks in and drags Frank from downstairs.
Frank's back? Since when?
A couple hours ago.
Claims he was in a coma.
Is the baby? Yes, Franny, Francis. She's a joy, but not a great sleeper.
I did you a fucking favor getting rid of that junkie. You
Keep
should
a pillow
be
between us so that I don't
thanking
smother
me.
her or anything.
An
Roll over
HIV
and feed
at the
her.
hands of that liar junkie. Stop it. I am a truth teller, but you're too weak to die.
Hi, I'm Fiona.
The next day, Ian and Lip spy on Caleb, who goes on a date with an ex-girlfriend of his, which reveals to Ian that Caleb is in fact cheating on him, and not only cheating on him, but cheating on him with a woman. Oh yeah, there's also this other storyline this episode where Dominique complains about Carl's extra skin, so he goes to a doctor and has that skin removed, and at the end of the episode, Frank somehow makes his way upstairs and barricades himself in Fiona's room. In episode 2, Fiona tosses Frank's things out of her bedroom. Frank uses a ladder to cross into the abandoned house next door in order to avoid Fiona. Once back in the main level of the house, Frank claims that he's going to disinherit all of his kids because they've been so ungrateful to him lately. Frank decides to take Liam with him on whatever scam he's running this time. It turns out Frank is going to hire a bunch of construction workers to brick the upstairs of the house off so that nobody else can get inside besides him. Meanwhile, at school, Dominique accidentally causes Carl to blow his stitches. Back at Patsy's, Fiona gives one of her waitresses a warning for showing up late.
I'm glad you guys feel like you can just change my schedule whenever you want.
Which Sean always let us do.
In case you haven't noticed, Sean's not here anymore. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's too bad.
A little bit later on, she tries to get one of her bosses, Chad, to demote her back to a server so that she can collect tips again. However, we learn that Chad isn't even in charge. A woman named Margot is. Margot tells Fiona that she needs to replace all of the unreliable workers in order to try and turn the building around.
Sorry to bother you. I work at Patsy's. I wanted to let Chad know.
Where?
Patsy's? Pies?
Oh, yeah, the dump on Franklin.
You know it. I've been filling in as manager. I'd like to quit. Go back to waiting tables.
That's fine. Do whatever you want.
You allowed to say that? I mean, don't you have to run it by Chad first?
Red velvet. I know it's not your favorite, boss, but Sherry wanted it for her birthday.
Oh.
Zoning board is on my ass. Where's that environmental impact study for the redevelopment project?
Which one?
For what side?
I'll call Fitz. Tell him we need it ASAP.
Oh, and this one. She works at that shithole over on Franklin.
Patsy's.
Yeah, she wants to quit.
You do?
Well, as manager, I want to go back to waiting tables.
We should just shut it down.
Well, you can't close it.
Why not?
I depend upon it to feed my family.
You just quit.
That's the problem with having a family.
Well, I didn't think it would lead you to closing it.
Well, it's on its last legs anyway. We're planning on redeveloping that whole block.
If I stayed on as manager, would you keep it open?
Fine. Just don't lose any money.
Well, the only way to do that is to fire people. I mean, the old manager hired so many unreliable...
Did you hear what I said? Just keep it afloat.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Lip starts a new internship.
Head of sales and marketing? Yeah. Black coffee, extra hot, splash of 2%. 4 double shots of espresso before noon, wears a new pair of socks every day, throws out the old ones. You'll help him put them on. He doesn't like to take the goggles off.
Copy that.
Kitchen is yours, too. There's a grocery list on the bulletin board.
Elsewhere, Ian confronts Caleb about him sleeping with a woman.
How come you didn't come home last night or answer my text?
Busy.
Care to elaborate?
I don't know, ask Denise.
Is that what this is about? My high school girlfriend?
Your high school girlfriend, who you fuck.
Talking
I
about
saw you with her last night.
You're spying on me?
Yeah, because I knew you'd been cheating on me. So you didn't fuck Denise then?
Cheating would be if I suck some guy's cock, all right?
Say you didn't sleep with her.
I didn't say that.
Oh, I'm confused.
How do you think I feel? You're the one calling me a cheater.
You still haven't answered the question. Did you or did you not fuck Denise?
What's the big deal?
What's the big deal?
She's an old friend.
Who you fuck?
We've been sleeping together since we were kids.
You're taking your dick, you're putting it into a vagina.
And you're telling me you've never done that before?
No, I haven't. I'm gay.
So am I. I don't want you freaking out the way you are right now.
Oh, geez, sorry. Hey, how should I react when he say you've been screwing a woman?
This is such a horrible turn of events for their relationship. I was actually really liking their relationship in season 6, and then they went and just destroyed it for no reason. It's kind of unfortunate how quickly characters get cycled through. Like, Caleb was only around for about a half a season last season, and then I think this is his last episode. Back at Patsy's, Fiona puts up a help wanted sign, hoping that it will bring in some new reliable workers so that she can replace the unreliable ones currently working there. And boy, do they start coming in. A girl named Sierra comes in for an interview, so she replaces Olga, the girl that showed up late earlier in the episode, with her.
When can you start?
As soon as you want me to.
That's great. It's minimum wage plus shared tips. See you tomorrow at noon for training.
Thank you so much, Miss Gallagher.
Hey, Olga?
Yeah.
You're fired.
You can't fire me. I'm the only woman of color, and I will sue your ass.
Excuse me, where's the manager? Hi, I saw your help wanted sign.
You're hired. Come back tomorrow at noon for training.
Back at the Gallagher house, Fiona finally gets off work and tries to go upstairs for bed when she sees that the entire staircase has been bricked off. We also see Frank pick up a woman from the alibi and bring her home with him. The next day, everyone wakes up downstairs because of Frank locking them out. A little bit later on, the FBI raids some of the servers from Lip's new job, and he's a little bit sketched out. Elsewhere, Kevin sees a topless maid service while taking the kids out for a walk, and a light bulb goes off in his head. Meanwhile, Ian does end up breaking up with Caleb because he kind of accuses Caleb of trying to get him to sleep with a woman, even though that was something that Ian decided to do all on his own. Yeah, this is just such an unfortunate way to end their relationship, in my opinion. Later that night, Fiona and Lip go out with new coworker Sierra, who comes on to Lip and basically immediately starts making out with him. Also, one of the girls that they're out with signs Fiona up for Tinder because she's just done with men. The next morning, Veronica shows up to wake up the Gallaghers before they start tearing down the bricks that Frank put up.
Why are you sleeping with random dudes anyway?
Why am I not hooking up with random dudes?
Some sort of rebound thing from Sean?
I'd have to care for it to be a Sean rebound thing.
Honey, you said the same thing about Frank.
You seriously think that I give a fuck about Sean or Frank?
It's been weeks and you haven't talked at all about what happened on your wedding day.
Because there's nothing to talk about. So I'm not gonna talk about it. Ever.
And then 2 seconds later, she does this. Episode 3 opens up with Lip sleeping over at Sierra's house, as the two are now sort of an item. He tells her about a nightmare that he had where his kids were ripping his flesh off of his body, and so he takes this as a sign that he's found a new family. At work, Ian accidentally sets a woman free from her restraints. Actually, it's not really an accident. He does it on purpose because he thinks that she's not going to hurt herself, but she ends up jumping out of a moving ambulance and into oncoming traffic. Meanwhile, she leaves work early yet again to go get Ian, who has just been told by his coworkers that it would be beneficial for him to leave early.
I'm gonna cover for your ass this time.
And his new family head to an open house to steal some of the cookies from the realtor, and then they come up with a plan to literally start squatting in this open house, and somehow this works. Meanwhile, back at the Gallagher house, Carl tells Ian and Lip that he does not have gonorrhea, but somehow gave it to his girlfriend Dominique. So Ian and Lip kind of have to explain to Carl that if he doesn't have it, he could not have given it to her, so she cheated on him, basically. And so later that night, he follows Dominique to a frat house, and then she tells everybody that she needs to be put at the bottom of all of their emergency contact lists.
I want you all to put me at the bottom of your emergency contact list because I have a plan for my life. I can't do it if I'm getting a call every 5 minutes about one of you. And just so we're clear, I am just as likely as anyone else in this family to make something of myself. And it's about time you got that, you arrogant shit.
Personally, I see where Fiona is coming from on this. Like, it would be annoying to me too, but also, girl, you are literally their legal guardian now. And at the end of the episode, Veronica stops by and tells the Gallaghers what's going on down the street with Frank's new homeless shelter. Fiona stands outside the diner and tells her employees they are now open 24/7. She tells everybody her plan to host a speakeasy party for the next day, and everybody thinks it's a genuinely pretty good idea. In the morning, Fiona collects rent from all the siblings before telling Fiona she has 2 weeks to cough up the rest of her share or else she's kicked out. Before suggesting that she go get a job at the donut shop, Fiona then runs upstairs to go get some shut-eye for the first time because she's been out all night at Patsy's, and Debbie leaves Franny with Fiona while she applies for the job at donut shop. Halfway through her nap, Fiona is called into work, so she brings Franny back to Debbie because she cannot watch her. Debbie loses out on the job at the donut place. Elsewhere, Carl spends time with Luther, and the two are actually like now best friends because Carl has proven himself to Luther by exposing Dominique's relationship with that college-age boy. They go to the shooting range before Luther suggests Carl go to the military school he attended in Georgia to escape his crazy family life. Ian returns home from work, and as he's walking inside, he meets Trevor, who complains about recent anti-homeless sentiment by the rich folks in town. Trevor then asks Ian out on a date. Since getting a job kind of blew up in her face, Debbie decides to instead make a dating profile to attract a man to provide for her.
Listen to everything he says. Huh, good point, I can do that. To cook for him. Yeah. To cuddle. Yes. For emotional support. Hell yes. To nurture him. Yeah. Damn straight, I am a kick-ass nurturer. Harry, your mother is a catch.
Keep in mind, she's still only 15 years old. With all the anti-homeless sentiment going on in town, Frank decides to rally all of his family to clean up the streets of Chicago to prove themselves to the rich yuppies. Meanwhile, on his date, Ian learns that Trevor is a trans man, and because Ian's never actually been around any trans people, he kind of sticks his foot in his mouth a little bit and like misgenders him and stares at his nether regions. He apologizes to Trevor because he does genuinely like him, but he's also like trying to figure out how it all works because Ian's been so sheltered from that side of the LGBTQ plus community. Elsewhere, Lip stays late at his new job and learns that his work is up to some really illegal shit while snooping around in the server room. After this, he heads home and Fiona tells him about her speakeasy plan.
Planning this big after hours at Patsy's. Trying to promote our new times, get the club kids in.
It's like a lot of work. Why fix what ain't broke, though?
I want to do something different, something that's mine.
Carl and Debbie were blowing up my phone today.
Anything serious?
If it was, I was at work.
I was at work too. And I was getting paid for it.
I have the potential to make a fuck ton of money. All right, and help this family in a real way.
Not doing it for your family.
Hey, how much does restaurant management pay? I bet it's less than a fuck ton.
Fiona then runs upstairs, packs a bag, and leaves for Patsy's because she's tired of sleeping in a house where people don't respect her and people constantly treat her like shit. And shut down all of her ideas like the speakeasy.
I took the GED so you would stay in school. I waitressed my ass off so that you could go to college and drink yourself sick. The past 10 years, I've taken care of every single Gallagher in this family except one. I'm done.
The next day, Lip returns to work and is paid off by his internship with iPads after learning about the server room.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, but before you do that, I'm gonna need you to sign this NDA. You say anything about anything to anybody, you'll be sued. Hard.
Right after this, the feds raid the building and Lip runs out. Elsewhere, Frank meets with the city council about his shelter. The council says that the shelter raises crime in the neighborhood and disrupts the peace. Frank pleads his case that the shelter is helping to house multiple people who are homeless in the neighborhood. But this isn't enough, and Frank loses the vote, which ultimately decides whether or not they can stay in the house. Also, Fiona goes to the Alibi to ask Veronica's opinion about dresses and themes and stuff for her new speakeasy.
Hey, can you lend me like 6 cases of beer and 20 bottles of wine? Also, thrift store on Ogden. Which one screams illegal booze party? You okay?
Sure. Except you only come around when you need something. I've had a hell of a day. Haven't really spoken in weeks, and you waltz in, no hi, how are you? Just give me beer.
What about the insane day I had being manager of Patsy's?
When did that happen?
Weeks ago. You'd have known if you'd bothered to check in with me.
I was just at your house yesterday. Suppose you were too busy kicking Debbie out to notice.
I asked her to get a job, like a responsible human, not staple a photo of her tits to a pole with her phone number beneath it, like your wife told her to.
She has a good chest. She should use it.
Mind your fucking business.
Hey, if we have some things we need to discuss, we'll do it later.
You're busy. Babies, a bar, a bride. No time for me and my shit. I got a party to plan.
What the hell was that? Did you see how rude she was to Lana? Debbie asked Lana for help.
She uses people. You have outgrown her. Move on.
So from this point on, they don't really speak to each other that often. Their relationship is in jeopardy, I would say. Their friendship very much is on a standstill for a while going forward from this fight. Later that night, Fiona returns to Patsy's and the speakeasy begins. Lip hands Fiona the iPads from his work as an apology for not seeing the vision in her speakeasy. And at the end of the episode, Frank chains himself to the shelter while the news runs a story on them being thrown out. The fifth episode opens with Frank's house being bought up by a billionaire to save the homeless people from going out onto the streets yet again.
Mr. Gallagher, perhaps you've heard of Simon Epstein, the real estate mogul. After seeing you on the news, he immediately contacted our community service organization.
You're kicking us out.
No, Mr. Gallagher. Simon Epstein purchased this house for the Southside homeless.
A billionaire with a bleeding heart and a big dick bought this place for me?
Back at the Gallagher house, the washing machine dies, forcing Fiona to do her laundry at the laundromat. She learns that Etta, the owner of the building, is considering selling it as she's too old to keep the business up and running.
Some of your machines are broken too, huh?
Oh, people keep using slugs so they won't have to pay. They get jammed in there tighter than a string bikini in my ass. I ain't fishing them out.
You wouldn't have to deal with quarters if you got swipe cards.
Tell that to the new owners. Not that they'd care anyway.
You're selling the place?
Ah, those north side suits. They've been poking around trying to buy out my lease. I think they're trying to rack up the whole block. I told them to get lost.
What do they want to do with it?
Turn it into a Starbucks or a cheese and wine shop. I can't handle this place since Wendell died.
You know, we tripled customers over at Patsy's when we updated.
I'm too old for that. Worried about my babies, though.
Meanwhile, Kevin, Veronica, and Svetlana agree to adopt each other's children. Frank tells Debbie to go and beg in order to make money for rent. While begging, Debbie gets into a fight with a homeless lady, and this entire thing is filmed by Derek's sister. Elsewhere, Fiona stops by Margot's office and reports that her business is doing really well. She asks for a cut in the profits of the building, but is turned down. Meanwhile, Carl is rejected from military school because he is white, and the rest of the spots are going to people of color. The next morning, Veronica drops Fiona's stuff off as the two are still fighting. Ian judges Fiona for putting herself before everyone else in order to make the diner a better place.
Jesus, any colder in here, we're gonna need parkas. What's with you and V?
Really couldn't go to the laundromat just like everyone else?
Well, just because you and I said we're going out doesn't mean I have to. What's up with you?
What's up with me? I'm working around the clock. I'm doing great. What's up with you?
Jesus, how hard can managing a fucking diner be for you to stop giving a shit about us and V?
Who says I don't give a shit? I'm not going to apologize for getting my life together.
V will be fine once she realizes that self-improvement is not a crime, and so will all of you.
She's really in her boss bitch era, if we're being completely honest. Carl learns that he's part Native American and can still apply for a scholarship. Back at college, Lip visits his friend, and together they decide to hack into his internship to finally get him a paycheck. Meanwhile, Debbie meets Neil, Sierra's brother, who is in a wheelchair. We learn that due to an accident Neil had many years ago, he doesn't have a filter when talking to people and oftentimes sexualizes or jokes about the person that he's talking to right in front of their faces. Back at the laundromat, Fiona offers to buy the building from Etta instead of the quote-unquote suits, but Etta turns her down because rich people always win. Fiona sees this as her opportunity to really make something of herself. We've seen in the last few episodes her go from the manager at a quote-unquote shithole diner to completely turning the place around with fun and creative ideas, uniforms, and a 24/7 menu. By offering to buy up this laundromat, Fiona is essentially looking to own something. Because she doesn't own the diner, she's not getting that much in return for her time and investments like the new menus, the better staff, and the extra work. So she figures why not start from scratch with the laundromat down the street. After returning, Margot confronts Fiona about asking for a raise earlier, and she reluctantly admits that she's completely turned the place around.
Mushroom turkey burger with sweet potato fries is our most popular.
Chad said you stopped by today, asking for a raise.
We're doing great. I think I earned it. Food cost is at 35%.
Lots of new items on this menu.
I removed 20 old items that weren't selling, and I saved 2% on meat costs by getting rid of the triple beef burger.
Labor costs?
Down to 28%. I deserve that raise.
I authorized Chad to give you 25 extra bucks a week.
I asked for 50.
We're negotiating now?
Yeah, we are.
You got a city block for sale somewhere, or rundown apartment building and some up-and-coming neighborhood, because those are the only people that I negotiate with. I'm throwing you a bone. Take it, and I will take that mushroom turkey burger.
The next day, DCFS arrives and proclaims Debbie is now under investigation for child neglect due to the video that was taken of her fighting a homeless lady. We learn here in episode 6 that Svetlana is having sex with her own dad. Meanwhile, Fiona offers to buy the laundromat yet again, and Etta actually agrees this time. Fiona lets her stay in the apartment upstairs.
What if you could stay?
Well, they won't let me.
I would. I can go to the bank right now, ask for a loan for $100 grand. I bet they'll do it.
You want my laundromat?
You wouldn't have to leave your apartment. You could come sit on your stool anytime you want. We can even keep Wendell's name on the sign. You get what you want, I get what I want, and for no extra charge, you get to tell these Northsiders to go fuck themselves.
Okay.
At dinner, Debbie reveals to Sierra, Lip, Carl, and Ian that she and Neil are engaged. None of them are really that supportive of them, which is telling, but also it makes sense because it's only been like a few days.
Sierra thinks you're only with me for my money.
What, you said that?
You don't think it's a good idea either.
Look, Debs, you don't need to do this to get the DCFS off your back.
Shut up, Lip. What kind of choices do you think I have? You may see someone who's brain damaged, but I see someone who doesn't lie. Like all the other guys I've ever been with. He'll take care of me, and I'll make sure my baby won't ever get taken away from me. What kind of choices do you think Neil has? Are you gonna always be there to look out for him? Because I will. I'll cook for him, and I'll do his laundry. You think he's gonna find a better deal somewhere else?
We're engaged.
That's why I wanted all of you here.
The next day, Debbie arrives at the laundromat to ask Fiona for her approval to get married because Frank doesn't approve of the union. Meanwhile, the FBI raids and fully shuts down Lip's internship job. Fiona officially signs the papers to buy the laundromat.
So I heard from the bank, they'll give me a loan for 80 grand.
For what?
For the laundromat, the lease?
You'd give me $80,000 for this place? I never thought it was worth that much.
Do you remember our conversation yesterday?
Of course I do.
You said that you'd sell it to me.
I know what I said.
And I'm gonna let you live upstairs, remember? Got a term sheet here. I just have to write the number in.
Give it here. And where do I sign?
Right there.
It's all yours.
Meanwhile, at the alibi, Kevin Veronica confronts Svetlana about Kevin seeing her sleeping with her own father earlier in the episode.
We know about Yvonne.
How did you find out?
Doesn't matter.
He threatened to cut my fingers off if I told you we were married. He even showed me the cleaver he would use. Hold up, did you say married? Yes, Yvonne is husband, not father. You knew this.
So you didn't fuck your dad?
Not since I left Russia.
You're married to someone else?
A little bit later on, Lip tells Fiona that buying the laundromat is a huge mistake.
Ask me how my day was.
I'm really not in the mood.
It was fucking awesome. Ask me why. I bought the laundromat across the street.
What'd that set you back about?
80 grand. Well, I'm getting the loan.
What collateral?
The house.
Yeah, you don't own the house.
It's in my name.
Yeah, but it belongs to all of us.
It's in my name.
You're gonna risk the house?
No, because I'm gonna make every payment.
The fuck do you know about running a laundromat?
What the fuck did I know about running a diner?
Well, this dump had no place to go but up.
The laundromat's a great business. No employees, no spoilage. It's a great investment, too. It's only gonna increase in value once I fix the place up. I'm gonna turn it into a scene, like I told you. You were into it. I got a plan.
I don't give a shit about your plan.
Why not? How about, way to go, sis, or I believe in you? Is that so fucking hard?
You're making a huge mistake.
How huge? Huh? Like blowing a grant and getting kicked out of college? That huge?
Also in this episode, Frank's family throw him out of the house that he got them when they find out that he's been hoarding wealth. And at the end of the episode, we find out that Carl has gotten into military school.
Don't make me come down there and embarrass the hell out of you.
I'm gonna come back a man.
Heading home.
Patsy's.
No, it's not too late. You can still back out of that loan.
So it's Liam's first day of elementary school, and when he's on his way over, he finds out that the building is closed. Frank takes him to the local private school, which has replaced Liam's old one, so that Frank can complain about being too poor to get Liam into this school. And after all this complaining, by the end of the school day, the principal of the school pulls Frank aside and offers a spot for Liam. Elsewhere, in preparation for DCFS's visit to Neil's house, Debbie moves all the knives out of reach and rearranges the entire kitchen. A little bit later on, Debbie goes to her first day of sophomore year and tries to drop out because she has a husband-to-be and she doesn't need to be in high school anymore, according to her. The principal says that she has 2 years of high school left, which would make her a junior here in this episode. That doesn't make any sense because she is still 15, so that puts her at sophomore age. Meanwhile, Fiona discovers a list of issues with the laundromat. Half of the machines are leaking, and she eventually finds out that there's a gas leak as well. This forces her to stay at the laundromat and kind of abandon Debbie at the courthouse. A little bit later on, Fiona goes to Margot and asks how she got where she is. And Margot gives her some pretty bad advice.
Can I ask you something, or are you too busy? How did you get where you are?
Just dumb luck.
I bought a small business, and it's costing way more than I thought it would, and if you have any tips for first-time owners?
Yeah, don't do it.
What?
99% of the people who ask for my advice don't have a clue what it takes. They fantasize about skydiving, but they never get on a plane. And if they do, you're too scared to jump. But don't feel bad. Most people are pussies. It costs a lot of money to make money, and it's a hell of a lot easier just to be an employee for the rest of their lives. Less stress.
Fiona then returns to the laundromat and takes her check back from Etta, who hasn't deposited yet, because she decided she doesn't want to own the building anymore when she finds out about all the issues in said building. Ewan shows up at Patsy's to tell Lip that he has an appeal hearing with the school board at the college he used to go to basically kind of undo his expulsion and let him back into classes. And Lip at first does not want to do this, but Sierra convinces him to go because she wants him to pursue his future. Back at the bar, Svetlana reveals to Kevin and Veronica that she, quote, dealt with their problem. Meanwhile, Lip arrives at Sierra's house to pick her up for their date together. Lip discovers Sierra's ex, Charlie, is also a struggling addict. Later that night at the arcade, Sierra gets a call from a neighbor complaining that Charlie left their son Lucas at their doorstep hours ago and has not shown back up. The next day, Fiona decides to rewrite the check and deposit it in Etta's account so that she can fully buy the laundromat, because she decides that with all of its quirks, she still wants it. At the beginning of the episode, Fiona is woken up by Etta, who tries to kick her out, as she's forgotten that Fiona is the new owner. Throughout this whole episode, Fiona tries to renovate the entire building by herself because nobody is available to help her. Etta decides to use the big fat check that Fiona wrote her to start ordering a bunch of useless gifts for herself. Meanwhile, Svetlana hides Kevin's van for insurance money and just tells him that it was stolen. Kevin heads back to the house where he finds out Svetlana has randomly started a fake passport business. She then tells him it's going to be their new revenue stream now that the van is gone. After Kevin yells at her for selling the van, she brings him to where the van is being hidden and reveals that it's just an insurance money scam. Meanwhile, Debbie brings Franny over to Derek's family's house. She claims that them calling DCFS woke her up and now she's on the right track. After this meeting, Derek's family agree to go over to Debbie's house to see where Franny is living and see how the situation is going over there. And after this visit, they say that they will support her if DCFS comes knocking on their door. Elsewhere, Lip goes to the laundromat to ask Fiona for time off so that he can go to his appeal. And when Fiona grants him the day off, he just has to let this out.
Trying to do it all by yourself?
Out of money, so yeah.
I'm biting my tongue pretty hard here.
I appreciate that. What do you need?
Is it all right if I switch my dishwashing shift with Julio's night shift?
No problem.
Great. See how I did that? You know how I asked your permission before trading shifts? You might want to borrow a page from that book next time you're thinking about making any large purchases.
Ask your permission?
Now ask my fucking opinion.
Fiona takes Etta's credit card away because they don't have room in the laundromat to keep all of these giant gifts. Meanwhile, Frank breaks into the Gallagher house to quote-unquote be a better father by cleaning up the house and making food for everybody and trying to win his way back into the hearts of his kids. He tries to fix the washing machine but only makes it worse before it starts flooding. Ian tells a story about how Lip once walked 8 miles to find an action figure of his when he was 7 years old. Lip then speaks to the board about how he wants to be around great minds again like Professor Ewan's and that he would like to continue his schooling. He learns that his appeal is denied because of all the horrible things that happened last season that he did. Ian returns home and chases Frank out of the house once he sees that he's trying to do better, and just on time, Frank's fake old family that threw him out a few episodes ago chase him down the street as well. Elsewhere at the laundromat, Fiona is still pulling up tiles by herself. Kevin drops by to get her opinion on Svetlana being a member of his relationship. Fiona listens to his stories about Svetlana's dad, husband.
And the craziest part of it all is that V doesn't even seem to care. I feel like V might be in love with her more than me.
You're practically married to Svetlana, so I don't want to say anything now that I can't take back later if you're just gonna go home and make up. That makes me the asshole, like, forever.
I need you to tell me the truth. That's what I'm here for.
Okay. I never trusted Svetlana. Not for a single minute, not since the day that I met her. Because I was raised by a con artist, so I know one when I see one. And when V married her to keep her in the country, I understood because she was providing childcare and help with the bar, and I thought it's about convenience. And then the next thing I know, my best friend is married to and in love with a Russian hand whore con artist who's turned her against me. So it's too late for me to say anything about it, which is maybe the biggest mistake of my life because I miss her every fucking day.
Etta then gets a delivery for cat food, which angers Fiona even more because she's already sent back so many different things.
You Etta?
Jesus, what'd she order now?
A whole lot of cat food. Is this an animal shelter or something?
No, just stack it in the back.
Debbie arrives shortly after to ask Fiona for a fake job at the laundromat.
See my credit card. QVC's running a sale on wine racks. I've always wanted a wine rack.
No, Etta, I've not seen it. I need a job, and I wasted the whole day trying to make nice with Derek's family, and now I have to go grocery shopping and cook dinner for Neil.
When Fiona offers Debbie an actual job so that the workload can go a little bit faster, Debbie accuses Fiona of not even listening to her.
If I tell DCFS that I work here and they check it, can you confirm it with them?
I can actually do better. I can offer you actual work.
Now?
Yep.
Did you not just hear me say I have to grocery shop and cook dinner? God, you literally never listen to me.
Etta casually lets out a slur while the delivery woman is there, and then the two get into an argument over it.
God goddamn chick down at the market must have stole my
Oh,
car.
nice language.
Look, she's got dementia. Cut her a break.
Lived through Pearl Harbor. and
Fiona,
then
I am
talk
in
to
good
me
clothes.
about
Do you expect me to
racism.
just
The Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. I'm Chinese.
You stole my credit
Oh, are you
card.
seriously accusing me?
She has fucking dementia. She's not accusing you of anything.
Can you just laugh at me this once, Fiona?
The line
I have had a shitty day!
Closed up! Do you see it open? It's closed. What would you like me to tell them that you are doing here, huh?
Well, why is everybody yelling?
Are you really laughing at me?
I think she's just tired of Dubs.
Yeah, well, so am I. You know what? Fucking forget it, Fiona. Have a great day.
Once Debbie leaves, the ceiling quite literally collapses, and the only thing Fiona can do is laugh hysterically.
Holy Jesus. I can't tell if you're laughing or crying. I don't know what we're laughing about.
Not only did she have to pay hundreds of dollars to fix the gas leaks and the flooring and the leaking machines, now she has to deal with the ceiling, which has literally just caved in on itself. So Kevin leaves for the alibi so he can go get as many people to come help Fiona as possible because he can see that she's clearly not doing well. When Debbie returns to the apartment, Neil reveals to her that Celia took Franny. Back at Patsy's, Lip attacks Charlie for bothering Sierra, and then the fight spills out into the road.
Stop doing! Fucking stop! Stop it! Hey!
All right, okay, it's over. Let's go. Let's go.
You gonna give me shit now? They didn't take you back. You don't fucking need them, all right? You what the fuck you talking about?
At the laundromat, Kevin asks Fiona if he can stay at her house, to which she says yes, because obviously Kevin is going through a bit of a rough patch in his throuple. Frank also asks if he can stay at the house again, and Fiona denies this before Etta comes downstairs and believes Frank to be her dead husband. So Frank smells an opportunity, and the opportunity being that he can move in with Etta in the apartment upstairs. The episode begins with a semi pulling up in frame, which reveals Monica has returned to Chicago. While she tries to get back with Frank, she is completely ignored by him when she tries to apologize for leaving the kids and him. Keep in mind, this is her first time back in the show since season 5, and the first time since season 2 that these two have shared a screen. Next morning, Fiona finds Monica on her porch. She completely ignores her when Monica asks about the kids and walks off and pretends as if Monica isn't even there. Monica then calls Ian, who explains to Trevor why she's such a slippery slope to be around. Ian invites Monica to his dinner with Trevor later that day. Debbie then returns to the Gallagher house where she reunites with Monica, who is still sitting on the front porch. Monica then reunites with Kevin and Liam inside the Gallagher house. Debbie tells Monica about the situation with her in-laws stealing Franny, and this is where Monica decides that that's just not going to fly, so they head back to Derek's house.
Attention residents! According to the bylaws of Public Act 9470, the child is only granted custody to the grandparents only when the child's mother is deemed unfit by the court, nor has the baby been declared in any physical danger, nor has the child's home been deemed hazardous. So you have no legal right to keep Franny from her mom. I'm getting my motherfucking granddaughter back. Get back, bitch, before I knock those cheap extensions right off your head.
Fiona heads to the laundromat where she officially reopens Wendell's. A little bit later on, she gets her first negative review, so that puts a little bit of a dent in her happiness. Meanwhile, at the alibi, Lip arrives and reunites with Monica. Monica claims she's going to make good on her promise to give back to the kids, and Lip tries to shut that down because he doesn't believe that it's actually going to happen.
So what brings you back to town?
Frank and the kid. I'm gonna make good. You hear that, Lip? I got a plan. I'm gonna set you and the kids up for life. Let me do something for you. What do you need? Money, something for college?
I'm not in college anymore.
Got drunk, smashed a car up with a crowbar. They kick you out for that? Kids get drunk and smash it up all the time. That's what college is for. Those jerks. Well, in 10 years, when you cure cancer, they're gonna come at you with an honorary...
Hey, Monica, fuck off, huh?
Elsewhere, Monica arrives for her date with Trevor and Ian.
Well, hey.
Bar's closed.
Aw, shit. Well, I went by a cowboy bar.
Oh, no, Trevor won't go there because they card.
Are you underage?
No. Let me see your ID. Fuck. Ah, you are underage. Why wouldn't you just get a fake ID like everybody else?
I'm not fucking underage.
Hey, if he doesn't want to show you, he doesn't have to show you, hon. Forget it.
It's an old license.
So?
Pre-transition.
You're trans? I've been so.
Oh, thanks. Make you show proof of gender confirmation surgery, so let's all gawk at the freak show, yeah?
Whether or not his intention is to see a pre-transition picture of himself or he thinks Trevor's just being dramatic, I don't know.
I was just giving you shit, dickwad.
Oh, fuck you.
No, stop the name calling, okay? It's just getting crazy with you. Ian just gets a little wound up, just like his mom.
Why are you here?
To see you.
No, why are you here now? See, this is what she does. She just parachutes into your life like, hi, I'm here now. I could have used a mom when I broke my collarbone at 12. Or when I got my heart smashed for the first time.
She apologized. Move on.
I'm sorry.
Move on?
No.
Okay.
Ian, come on. Dude, I'm sorry.
Come on,
Ian,
babe.
come on. Ian, I just got here.
And so the date kind of just blows up in everyone's faces. Back at the house, Lip, Ian, and Fiona all air out their grievances with Monica. Lip bets Fiona $20 that she will break and Monica will eventually get on her nerves. The next morning, Monica stops by the laundromat and tries to apologize to Fiona. Fiona gets really flustered, so she heads over to the diner.
I don't blame you for hating me. I hate myself, but I'm gonna make good. So Debbie showed me a photo of Carl in his military uniform. So sharp. And Liam at Hopkins Academy? Debbie's a mom. Must have done something right. And you did great things too, Fiona. Taking care of all the kids. You, amazing. You did such a better job than I could have. I'm proud of you. Got an Advil. My head is killing me.
Also, Kevin, Veronica, and Svetlana go to couples therapy to attempt to solve their problems. After the session, Kevin tells them that he feels really happy that they did this and that it's a good step in their relationship to get back on track. And then immediately, when the new liquor vendor walks in and asks for a signature, they find out that Svetlana is the new owner of the Alibi, and the marriage papers that they were signing were actually sales documents. A little bit later on at the custody hearing, Debbie is given custody of Franny, despite Monica causing a bit of a scene. Debbie heads to the laundromat and officially asks Fiona for a real job there. She promises to be on her best behavior and to listen to Fiona whenever she's asked to do something. Frank finally reunites with Monica again on his own terms, and she tells him that she is dying. Later that night, Fiona gives Lip the $20 because she's clearly lost the Monica bet. And at the end of the episode, Ian and Trevor finally reconcile after their argument the night before. This is when police come knocking, and Ian finds out that Mickey Milkovich has escaped from prison. Fiona gets a call from Chad, who tells her that Margot is at the diner asking for her. Margot offers to buy the laundromat from Fiona for $80,000. When Fiona declines this offer, Margot raises it to $90,000, which would be a $10,000 profit for her. Meanwhile, Lip wakes up from a bender on the L train. He returns home and is taunted by his parents. Monica then takes Frank underneath the house to show him her hidden stash of guns. She wants to rob a police evidence room so that they can leave an inheritance for the kids once she's dead. A little bit later on, Lip clocks into work drunk, leaving all the other waitresses a little bit uncomfortable because he's stumbling around and breaking dishes and cutting himself on broken glass and stuff, so they call Fiona rightfully. Then Fiona arrives and tells Lip to go home.
You wasted? On the clock?
Was Sierra tell you something?
No.
What are you, my babysitter now?
Are you?
I came in a little hungover. I've got her under control.
Go home before I have to fire you.
Oh, yeah, fire me for what, huh?
You want to piss away every single chance that comes your way, including this job, that's your business. But don't drag me into it. Go home and sleep it off. You're done here today.
Back at the laundromat, Kevin tells Fiona about how Svetlana conned them out of the bar and asks Fiona to make things right with Veronica because she misses her. Also in this episode, Ian reunites with Mickey.
You like the high school bleachers? Spot, man.
Cops come talk to you.
Think I'd snitch?
Monica and Frank fail to perform a heist at the police station because they get cold feet. The next day, Lip wakes up having broken into Helene's house, and she comes downstairs to tell him to go and move on. Meanwhile, at the diner, Margot offers Fiona $160,000 for the laundromat, which is double the price that she paid for it.
I promised Etta Teasdale a place to live if she sold me her lease. Who? The old lady that I bought the laundromat from.
Well, you can take her cats in her chair and put her in an assisted living. She probably won't even know the difference. They get to play lots of bingo. They love that.
I'm starting to turn a profit. My family works there. People in the neighborhood depend on it. Why should I sell if I'm doing well?
All right, name your price. 120?
I just don't think that my conscience will allow me to sell.
You've been doing your research, huh? I'm redeveloping the whole block. I will give you 160,000, which is double what you paid for that lease. It is that, or I will go redevelop another shitty block. And there are plenty of those left around here.
After pondering it for a few hours, she does eventually decide to take Margot's deal and sell the building. The next day, Ian leaves Chicago with Mickey and starts ignoring Trevor's calls. Elsewhere, Fiona and Veronica finally make up after their fighting all season. And at the end of the episode, Lip finally attends an AA meeting. Ian and Mickey make it to Oklahoma. Elsewhere, Fiona receives the check from Margot, which confirms that she did in fact sell the laundromat.
I'm gonna have to hire a new dishwasher. If I catch you drinking on the job again.
You want to breathalyze me? What's that for?
I sold the laundromat.
Already? How much you lose?
I didn't. Can you believe it? Once I pay off the mortgage and pay Etta back for the improvements, I'll have 75 grand.
Fuck, I can't stop staring at it. I didn't think I'd make this much money in my life.
Yeah, you better cash that before it bounces.
Figure I should be smart with the money after I blow a little on something fun. Can you pretend to be happy for me?
Oh, no, I gotta go. You know, those of us in the underclass, we have shit to do.
Fiona uses the check to buy a car for herself, which would be the first ever time she's had transportation other than the L train. Also, Frank and Monica decide to get married yet again. Even though they're already married, they decide to renew their vows. During an AA meeting, Lip meets fellow recovering addict Brad, and the two become friends. Fiona decides to bring Etta to live with her temporarily as the laundromat is being completely renovated by Margot. During their marriage ceremony, Frank and Monica get into a huge fist fight.
I forgive you for promising me to that drug dealer in exchange for crystal meth. I forgive you for dragging me 3 blocks with the car.
Okay, sweetheart, that was an accident.
No, it wasn't, my love.
How was I supposed to know that your dress was caught in the door?
Because I was
The
screaming.
radio was blaring. Layla, remember?
No, don't fucking lie to me, Frank.
It was a blowjob!
Oh!
Elsewhere, Fiona meets Ryan at the laundromat as it's being torn down. A little bit later on, she goes to his apartment and sleeps with him before he just randomly offers to sell her his apartment because it's becoming a little bit too much for him to handle. Fiona heads back to the house and toasts Frank and Monica.
Who wants to give the first toast? Stand up, get up, come on.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
All right.
What can I say about Frank and Monica that hasn't already been said? You deserve each other.
You're here.
You're here.
You're here.
You're here.
The next day, Fiona brings Etta to an assisted living facility. Also, Ian decides to leave Mickey at the border.
Ian, we're one step from the finish line.
I love you.
Then get in the fucking car.
It's not. This isn't me anymore. I'm sorry.
That's it, huh?
And at the end of the episode, Frank wakes up and discovers that Monica has died in her sleep.
Wakey, wakey. Wakey, wakey. Monica? Monica? Come on, sweetheart. Come on, open your eyes. Come on!
The episode opens with Ian returning to Chicago. We also see Carl getting told the bad news while in military school. Meanwhile, at the hospital, we do learn that Monica did die last night of an aneurysm.
Monica, your mother?
Yeah.
We made every attempt to revive her, but we were unsuccessful.
So she's dead.
Yes.
Drug overdose?
No, she Died from a massive cerebral hemorrhage.
After Fiona breaks the news to Frank, he leaves them at the hospital. Back at the Gallagher house, each kid takes something that they want to keep from Monica's purse. The next day, Carl finally returns home and makes breakfast for everybody. Elsewhere, Fiona heads to work, where she looks up the number for Monica's father's company and leaves a message stating that his daughter is dead. Later on, Fiona looks over the paperwork to buy the apartment building from Ryan. She's ultimately hesitant about taking on another investment opportunity, but she does decide to go with her gut and sign the papers. Afterwards, she and Veronica go over burial options for Monica. Elsewhere, Ian heads over to Trevor to apologize for going AWOL on him. Meanwhile, Frank, Carl, and Debbie raid Monica's storage unit to find $70,000 worth of meth. During the family meeting, Fiona threatens to flush all the meth down the toilet.
It's her gift to you.
No way. Nope, it's getting flushed down the toilet.
Fuck it is.
Hey, hands on.
Give me the meth,
This
Frank.
is not. Nobody flushes $70,000 worth of maternal bequest down the drain.
Wait, how much?
A pound of high-quality methamphetamine, which this clearly is, worth 10 grand on the street.
She probably stole it, Frank.
What you do with your pound is your choice, but this is not a dictatorship, Fiona. This is America. And in America, we like democracy. All Gallagher's in favor of flushing $70,000 of your future down the drain. Raise your hand.
Lip, Ian.
I don't know. Maybe we should sleep on it.
Lip.
What?
Debbie?
10,000 will go a long way for childcare.
Carl.
Call one of my corner buddies, see if they can unload it.
And I am proud to be a citizen of Gallagher Nation.
I am ashamed
Oh,
of all of you.
Because Fiona is recently coming into her own, she doesn't need $10,000. Lip, Debbie, Carl, and Frank are the most vocal about keeping the meth. And that's because none of them are in good financial situations currently. The only one that has a decent job other than Fiona is Ian. Even Liam wants to keep it. Monica's father, Bill, then shows up to attack Frank for stealing his daughter away from him. He accuses him of literally killing Monica, even though that's not really the case. Bill then insists that he will pay for a proper funeral for Monica. Because Debbie hid the meth from Frank, Frank then goes crazy and starts hitting Debbie around, which causes the rest of the siblings to get involved as well.
Give me the goddamn meth!
Or what? Hey, you're fucking
So they throw Frank out yet again, like we've seen countless times in the series. Fiona chases him outside and lectures him about hitting Debbie. Frank tries to defend Monica in death for leaving them an inheritance. He claims that Fiona's just ungrateful, and Fiona says that Monica was never there for them.
You don't know anything about your mother.
She was never here. She deserted us.
She loved us.
That was love?
Yes, it is.
Okay, then why did she leave? Why wasn't she here?
She tried. She
She wasn't
always
here.
tried.
She was never fucking here. She left. I was 9. 9 and taking care of you. Staying up all night with Ian when he had chicken pox. I washed Carl's shitty diapers. I picked lice out of Liam's hair. And I was here when Debbie got her first period, not Monica.
She didn't love me. She didn't love you. She didn't give a shit about anyone but herself. I'm glad she's dead. At least now she can't fuck us over anymore.
I've said it before, but Emmy Rossum deserves an Emmy. Days later, Fiona views Monica before the funeral begins and hides 2 bags of meth with Monica's body. She then violently punches her mother for all of the pain that she caused her while she was alive. Fiona reads a passage from Monica's book and says Monica always had a good time, and that was most definitely her best attribute. Frank finishes the eulogy by telling stories of his best times with Monica.
She taught me how to live. She changed everything. First time I ever did a line of coke was with Monica. Every time I look into one of you kids' faces, I see her face looking back at me, smiling, laughing. She was strong, and you're strong. And she was brave, and you're brave. I know you didn't think much of her, but she loved you. And you wouldn't be who you are, and I wouldn't be who I am if she hadn't come into our lives. So hate her if you want, but she's in you. And that's a good thing.
This episode really serves to kind of change in the way Frank is presented to us. Throughout the entirety of season 7, Frank was a bit of a dick, a bit of an asshole to his children, and going forward, he's a lot better of a dad, I would say, in seasons 8 to 11. Not perfect, but a lot nicer to his children for sure. Props to William H. Macy, because this monologue is probably one of his best in the entire show. After the funeral, the Gallaghers have a party at the house to celebrate Monica's life. Even Fiona dances with her father for a moment. In only the show's second time using an end of the season montage, Debbie starts welding school, Ian continues working as an EMT, Carl and Frank spray paint Monica's name on the side of a building, Lip starts attending AA, and Fiona enters her new apartment building, completely putting a cap on season 7. For the longest time, I could never quite figure out why this season wasn't the final one. In my opinion, it's definitely the last good season of Shameless. Season 9 is also pretty decent, but 8, 10, and 11 are huge missteps in my opinion. Season 7 seems like a really natural end to the series. With the death of Monica comes a sort of finality to these characters' stories. By the end of the season, Fiona finally buys that new apartment building and starts to finally own something for herself. Lip finally starts attending AA and starts sorting through his alcohol addiction. Ian finally says goodbye to longtime boyfriend Mickey. Debbie starts a new career in welding. Carl continues to attend military school, and Frank says goodbye to the love of his life in order to move forward as a better father figure. I personally see this finale as the turning point for the show. If I could point out one specific thing that changed the quality of the show forever, other than Sheila leaving in season 5, I would point to the show getting renewed for seasons 8 to 11. The seasons aren't terrible as a whole in my opinion, but there is a huge drop in quality, mostly from a writing standpoint. In part 3 of this video series, I will dive into what specifically makes those seasons different from the first 7. With each passing mediocre season, the show's legacy becomes more and more tainted for me as a result. And I'm not saying there aren't great episodes and performances and writing in certain parts of seasons 8, 9, 10, and 11, but if you really take a look at the writing as a whole, the premiere of season 8 is genuinely the first one I don't really like that much. Seasons 4 to 7 of Shameless are what I genuinely consider to be the peak of the show. Seasons 1 through 3 are really good as well, but I don't think the show really started to hit its stride dramatically until season 4 in particular, and then it would eventually continue that streak into season 5 and had some really dramatic moments in season 6, but ultimately waited until the finale of that season to reveal its biggest secret yet. While the majority of season 7 is pretty lighthearted, I wouldn't say it's without drama. Fiona taking up all of these new business opportunities can feel really emotionally taxing at times, but in the best way possible. Her family constantly badgering her for help. Everywhere she turns, there's a new problem for her to deal with when it comes to her siblings or her father or the diner. You could also look at the last 4 episodes of this season as one giant finale that truly ends Monica's story. Monica is such a divisive character for the show. Obviously, we're not meant to like her, but the performance by Chloe Webb is truly iconic. She is responsible for some of the most comedic and dramatic moments of the entire show. She didn't show up too often, but when she did, it was amazing television. Her timing lended itself perfectly to the more comedic scenes she took part in, and her incredible rapport with actors like Emmy Rossum, Jeremy Allen White, and William H. Macy also made for breathtaking dramatic moments. Take the reunion scene in episode 9 of season 1. This scene, along with the funeral one from this episode, make up my top 2 favorite scenes from the entire show. I guess what I'm trying to say is that you would be hard-pressed to find anyone else who could play Monica as well as Chloe Webb. And with that, I don't really have that much else to say on the matter. I really hope you guys enjoyed this really long video. Look out for part 3 of this series, the final part, at some point in December or January. Make sure you subscribe, like this video, and comment down below what your favorite aspect of any of these seasons of Shameless was. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!